everybody, and welcome to the show. I'm your host, Amal Ebanobi, and it's election night, baby. I had to pop up, say hi to y'all, surprise some of y'all, do a little bit of a live stream. I'm looking hella studious, okay, in my little suit jacket, because your girl had to go on Megyn Kelly. I was on Megyn Kelly like 30 minutes ago, talking through some of the things we're seeing this election night, and it's been an interesting ride, y'all, okay? I started out, I was sweating, I was stressing, I was eating Sour Patch Kids, far more than any human being should consume, as I was refreshing X over and over and over and over and over and over and over. And everybody was telling me, Kamala Harris, she's gonna win this, or, it's gonna be a neck and neck race. And so far, we're doing pretty good. Every time I refresh, it seems like I'm getting better and better and better news. And I don't wanna, go out over my skis. I'm cautiously optimistic, nauseously optimistic, I guess is what many people are saying right now when it comes to this election day. But my goodness, is Trump doing better than the mainstream media would have allowed you to believe he was going to do? And that, at the very least, has made me feel good. I tweeted out just a little bit ago, I am so happy. I'm happy with how things are going. I'm no longer sweating. I'm no longer stressing. We're hanging out. Of course, we have Taylor in Nashville.
Hey, yeah. I don't know if I'm just like a scarred for life person from 2020 and I was telling you about being a Minnesota Vikings fan, and we always find a way to just, lose at whenever it looks like victory is secure. So I'm still more on the nauseous side than the optimistic side, but some things are really pouring in. All signs are pointing to a Trump victory as of right now. Elon Musk just tweeted game, set, and match. So I don't know, is he jumping the gun there? We'll see. But yeah, we're following all the action here, and glad y'all are joining us for this special election night live stream.
Yeah, dude, following it as best we can. I've been getting whiplash, refreshing all these things, trying to figure out. I've been watching MSNBC, I've been watching CNN, Fox, Daily Wire, everybody and anybody who's talking about this. This is the election that I've followed the most closely in my entire 24 years on this earth. And you know what? It's looking good. It's not looking great yet. We still have some key battleground states that are left up in the air with many votes still to count. Florida was tremendous in their vote counting efforts. It took a matter of hours to count millions upon millions of votes. And then you have states with a fraction of the population, and they're still taking their time, They have us sitting here on the edge of our seats trying to figure out what's going on. But yeah, Florida came in, and it came in red, much to the left's chagrin. And like I said, it was very efficient in the vote counting. They also shot down Amendment 3 and 4, which was the legalization of marijuana, and then an abortion bill that would have expanded their abortion efforts in Florida. So their, 6-week ban remains in Florida. Now, this led to this clip from MSNBC, which they've been experiencing a lot, doing a lot of copium on MSNBC right now about this time, sweating a little bit. I transferred my sweat to them. And this is what they had to say about Florida. Apparently, it's now a fascist state.
It's a pure Project 2025 in miniature in Florida, and that kind of extreme, sort of extremist, right-wing, fascist type government in Florida, does that make it a more attractive place? It's a pure...
Oh my gosh. You'd think, at what point is Joy Reid going to learn her lesson? At what point is she going to be able to have a mirror held up to herself to where she can see, am I the problem? Oh, I might just be the problem. Maybe it's me talking about fascism and comparing these people to Hitler and saying they're a threat to democracy that may have led to some of the voter counts that we're reading tonight on our legacy media platform. Maybe it's my rhetoric that might have brought about what it is I'm seeing right now. And in regard to Trump and this sort of swing in the direction of him possibly being the next president of the United States and getting a second term, she said, I would have thought that if people understood Donald Trump and just how horrible he actually is and how much of a fascist he is and a dictator on day one, I would have thought with explaining that to people, they would understand this. So what does this say about us? Now, Joy, you really should be asking yourself the question, what does this say about us? And really turn it back on yourself. What does it say about you that you were able to run with all this rhetoric, paint a narrative, sort of pedestalize Kamala Harris in this way? And whether or not Trump wins this presidential race, they have a lot of things to think about. They have a lot of things that did not turn in any way, shape, or form in the way that they predicted it. And they need to take a good look inwards instead of pointing their fingers outward and figure out why that is. Because even if Trump loses and we continue on this trend, Republicans are in there like swimwear, baby. We're going to be doing good. This is still a good night for Republicans in the United States of America. And it really does show that only so much of this media propaganda will people take and will people accept. I think the Kamala Harris campaign was just an interesting experiment in, can the media just continuously lie and lie and lie and lie and say this woman is greater than she is, say that she's going to be turning the page, offering a new generation of leadership, bringing change from her middle class upbringing. Is that going to work on people? I guess not. And some of the demographics that are popping up in major support of Donald Trump are ones you wouldn't guess if you're watching legacy media, and specifically outlets like MSNBC. The Latino male vote that is showing up for Donald Trump tonight is just insane, considering all that we heard about that joke from Tony Hinchcliffe at the Madison Square Garden rally, the Puerto Rican garbage joke. The left ran with that like crazy, said this is absolutely going to affect his standing with Latinos all across America. And then I'm watching these things come in. I'm watching the exit polls, and I'm like, Florida, he's winning in Southern Florida. He's winning in Miami-Dade and Osceola County. And you guys know, before I lived in Los Angeles, your girl was living in Florida. It's a densely populated area as far as Latino and Hispanic voters. And they were coming out for Donald Trump in full force. So apparently, the joke wasn't all that offensive, was it? Especially not to Puerto Rican and Hispanic voters, because they showed up for Donald Trump. So I guess they weren't that taken aback by what Tony had to say, were they?
Yeah, I'm looking at a poll right here from this is a Michigan exit poll posted an hour ago in Michigan for Latino voters. Trump 60%, Harris 35%. So the demographics are very much breaking. I've seen a similar thing. I just saw one for black men as well. Trump support doubled in Wisconsin since the last election among black men. So all of the minority votes are shifting in favor of Trump. So it seems.
Yeah, and I'm excited to watch it happen. We did get a $50 super chat from Noob Puncher, who says, just wanted to say thank you for your concise and humorous commentary on all these insane people in office and media. It's nice to see people with sense still. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. That's how I felt all day. I'm like, oh my gosh. Well, common sense is not lost. Common sense is not lost. People are coming through and they're showing up. And it's interesting because, you know, for a long time, it was like, okay, the Democrats are going to pull in early votes or whatever. And they were really big early voters. And then Republicans show up on election day because they believe in election day. And then the numbers sort of even out a little bit. But Republicans have really shown up for both early voting and voting on election day. And that has made all the difference here. We're talking hundreds of thousands of votes in some major states here. So I am, again, cautiously optimistic. We're still waiting on some very interesting ones. We're waiting on Pennsylvania. We're waiting on Nevada. These are really big places that Trump hopefully wins. And then we can just sort of put it to bed. But then you have like people like Barack Obama, and he's tweeting out, you know, like, oftentimes I want to remind Americans that these things take days and that it's going to take some time to figure these things out. And I'm telling you, if I go to sleep tonight thinking Donald J. Trump is the next president of the United States and I wake up to Kamala Harris, the hellscape, I don't know what I'm going to do.
They're going to need extra layers of plywood over all the businesses and the White House. I guess I can't say that. Allegedly, just kidding. Don't come after me, FBI, because I know y'all will.
Yes.
If we get this administration for 4 more years.
Lawfare. No, I mean, we should be scared of what happens if Donald Trump takes his seat here. I very much wonder what the meltdown is going to be from the left on it. Are we going to get the screaming into the air meme, or is it going to be something a little bit more atrocious, a little bit more horrendous than what we saw in 2016, back when I cried when Donald Trump won.
I know, 2016 was legendary. It was the best television, best 24 hours of television that I've ever seen. And I think we've been waiting 8 long years for the potential of repeating that. So we'll see. I reached the shift. I tweeted a little bit ago. It's officially time to turn on MSNBC because they're starting to sweat a little bit, starting to hear more of the copium, starting to hear little things out of the Harris campaign that, oh, well, we're still, nauseously optimistic about what's going on here, but not looking good. And I'm sure Kamala's just sitting there thinking, I busted out that black scent. I brought them Cardi B. I brought out Meg Thee Stallion to twerk at those campaign rallies. I had that, you know, I asked them if their family is okay and their country is okay. She brought out the Latino accent, and it didn't work. It didn't work for anybody. So she's probably yelling at somebody right now.
She's like, I shipped in millions of them through our southern border. I told the states to roll back their voter ID laws, and I'm still losing this bitch. I'm still losing. How is that happening?
You didn't have to present your ID in California today, right?
I did not. Okay, so it's like, okay, at least when you register to vote, you do have to put in like your driver's license ID or your like the driver's license number on it, which anybody could just say that that's theirs, and then you can go and vote, and they literally do not ask you for the ID. And I heard from obviously many other California residents and people are reporting online. I showed it to my polling location, didn't ask for my ID whatsoever. So that's just interesting to experience. And I like had my ID out ready, just I guess it's kind of like a reflexive type thing of this is how it's gonna go, and they just didn't ask for it. So I like looked dumb just carrying the ID.
I didn't know what really to expect this time around. I tried to go early voting, but I realized I was a day late when I got there, and they're like, yeah, it's done. So I had to go on election day today, and I walked in the precinct. It was at an elementary school, and I was just kind of like, walked up to this sweet old lady and was just like, hi, I'm here to vote. And she just looked at me for a second and was like, do you have your ID? Yeah. And I was like, oh yeah, sure. I just gave her my ID. They checked it carefully, verified my address and information, and then I went and voted. Wow. So it's interesting. You have different experiences based on which state you're in. Between the ID stuff and the counting, of course, it's the most critical states, the Rust Belt states, Pennsylvania, Michigan, Wisconsin, that were waiting for the votes to be counted in when Florida counted theirs in like 5 seconds. So we're seeing these disparities depending on which state you live in with your ID or how they're counting.
Yeah, 100%.
Really telling, really. So unnecessary.
And you know that they can get it done. You know they get it. It's like so interesting to watch like the contrast in leadership. You're watching Ron DeSantis in Florida, and it just seems like everything that Florida's hit with, he's like, I'm on it. I'm on it. Hurricane, I'm on it. We got the issues of crime, I'm on it. People want to move to our state, and we're getting a major influx of people moving in. I'm on it. You're voting millions of people. You want it counted in 2.5 hours? On it. I'm gonna get it done. So it just goes to show if he wanted to, he would. Ladies, if he wanted to, he would. And Ron DeSantis wanted to, and he did. I see this is circulating right now. This is the Harris Falls camp right now. Oh, you know, I like to think, I want to be optimistic and think that, you know, things are going well and we're going to take in a win here. I'm not sure if it's actually true. Now, here's some report that there is silence in the Harris campaign right now. Let's roll the clip.
What are they telling you?
Yeah, Jake, let me just give you a gut check here about what we are hearing here as we've been sitting here reporting from the Harris headquarters. And I think the operative word right now is silence. There's not a lot being said because the Harris team appears to be searching for bright spots in the map as these results very, very slowly come in.
Searching for bright spots and also very aware of the warning signs throughout the electorate in Virginia, in Iowa.
What are they?
Silence. For once, we get silence from Kamala Harris. And hopefully a concession speech at some point. I don't think it's going to happen tonight, honestly. I mean, according to some reports, we might be waiting for these votes to be counted well into the night. So I don't think there's going to be a concession speech. Everybody's been speculating that maybe Trump is going to come forward and call this race early and call it in his favor, and that's going to create a little bit of turmoil. I'm wondering if he's going to do that tonight and what his speech is going to look like. And if he gives one at the end of tonight, I'm sure he's going to address the crowd in some way, shape, or form. I don't know that Kamala Harris will do the same. But about those Latino voters who are apparently not that offended by that joke that Tony Hinchcliffe told at Madison Square Garden, let's look at some exit poll data.
We wanted to look across all 3 blue wall states that John was just walking us through, looking at this slice of the vote, the Latino vote in the blue wall states. Now, they only make up 6% of the electorate in each of these states, but look at the difference in the margin. So Harris is getting in Pennsylvania 58% of the Latino vote, again, 6% of the electorate, to Donald Trump's 41%. That's a 17-point advantage. But 4 years ago, Biden beat Trump with Latinos in Pennsylvania by 42 points. So that is a huge movement for Trump in narrowing that gap. Similar story in Michigan. You see the Latino vote makes up a 6% of the share. Not a similar story, reverse. Donald Trump is winning the Latino vote in Michigan with 60% of the vote. Harris, 35% of the vote. That's a 25% advantage for Trump among Latinos. That is a big change when Biden won Latinos in Michigan by 11 points 4 years ago. That's a 36-point swing.
So it turns out going in front of a Latino crowd and just doing a Latino accent doesn't really work for you. You know, when Jill Biden says they're as diverse as the breakfast tacos in San Diego, isn't that what she said to that Hispanic crowd she was speaking to? They are diverse. Diversity in opinion, it seems, because they're voting for Donald Trump. And this is great. I love to see this change. I think it's a change that's going to continue. And for a long time, Democrats have just been able to rely on certain demographics voting for them because they're members of that demographic. And people are really realizing, oh, wait a second, I don't have to vote for this particular candidate because of my skin color, because of where I'm from. I actually agree far more with Donald Trump and where he stands on the issues. Not only that, they've lived under Kamala Harris leadership. They know what it feels like. The exit polls are saying some of the most important issues to voters who are out on election day are the border and the economy. And what you're going to see among Latino voters in particular is people who don't want illegal immigrants running in through our southern border. People who immigrated here and came through the legal processes that we have in the United States, who worked hard to become U.S. citizens, and they're going to vote within their best interests, which is not to allow millions of people to be flown and bussed and trained all over the United States to burden the American system. That's simply how it is. And I think Kamala Harris and her entire campaign really relied on the fact that this vote was just going to show up for them, tried to cement it in with this whole Puerto Rican joke controversy and say that Donald Trump is a racist. And I even saw a video today of a girl being interviewed on the news, and she said, you know what, I really didn't like the Tony Hinchcliffe joke. And she even took it as a sign of racism, as a sign that Tony didn't like Puerto Ricans and that maybe the rally itself was indicative of Trump's stance on Puerto Ricans. And she said, but still, I have to vote for a better future for myself and I have to vote within my best interest. And she still cast her ballot for Donald Trump. So I just think, you know, the common sense is common sensing. People understand that a misplaced joke or a joke that they didn't like is not the end all be all when it comes to picking the president. And they're feeling the weight of what Harris leadership feels like because they've been living under Harris leadership. And they want to, as Kamala Harris would put it, turn the page. They want a new generation of leadership, and it's the one we had before. Just bring the guy back, please.
That's just what a shit show of a campaign strategy.
Yeah.
Hiding from the media, talking about turning the page when you're the incumbent. Just wild. I have a couple of odds updates here. This is from Polymarket. Says there's now a 74% chance that Republicans sweep the presidency, Senate, and House. That's as of 3 minutes ago from Polymarket, which is a betting market. People have put in their money on that. New York Times, if you go to their homepage, they have a little ticker where they're tracking things. It's got Trump at an 89% chance of winning with 301 votes in Electoral College, Harris 237, 50 Republican seats in the Senate versus 41 for Democrats as of now, 168 in the House, 119 for Democrats. So we'll continue to monitor these. But we've been watching the little needle move on New York Times, edging more and more toward Trump. But we've got more encouraging numbers coming in. And I just saw that Ben Shapiro reported that Fox report, I guess that's layers of reporting, but that the Kamala Harris campaign is no longer accepting requests for comment at this stage in the campaign. So there's a few updates that I'm seeing right now on X.
It's hush tones, hush tones. I think things are looking like they're going in the right direction. It might be a whole different story when we wake up, but so far I'm feeling good. I will live in this euphoria for as long as it lasts. We did get a super chat. I'll read this immediately. Hey, Amala Taylor. Been watching all for over a year now. It's my first real live that I've been able to make. You get a chime for that. Appreciate that. Aww. I'm 20 and I went to vote for the first time. I couldn't stomach the misinformation regarding the two candidates, so I had to show my support for Trump. Love y'all. Congratulations on your first time voting, and I hope you felt good, you know, of sending in your ballot and placing your vote for Donald Trump. It's been so interesting. I have my little I voted sticker here, and I'm like, I don't even want to peel it off this think, because this could be a historic sticker when this is all said and done. Who knows what happens on the other end of this, And I'm not like a huge Trumper person or whatever, but it's just so obvious to me in this election who deserves to be the president of the United States, and just the endless attacks that have been launched on this man are just unbelievable. And I'll be curious to see how he responds to them if he is placed in this position of leadership. It's most certainly been interesting to watch. Here's a meme. You said skipping Rogan was a good idea. Kamala Harris. And you know what? I do think there was some interesting strategy here in the interviews that she chose to take, which were, few and far between, but she did them. Call her daddy. She did a town hall here and there. She had, honestly, a pretty good performance at their presidential debate. I believe she won that if we compare Trump's performance and if we think about the fact that it was very much rigged in her favor. But I think she did well in that, and then thought that was just really all she needed to do. And then she sprinkled in a few podcast appearances. She did a town hall, and then she shot down Joe Rogan. And I think they tried to promote this narrative that Joe Rogan wouldn't meet her where she was. She essentially told the Rogan team, you guys come to me in DC, and instead of a 3-hour podcast, we'll do a 1.5-hour podcast, and we'll do it on my time in wherever I want it to be done, which is not what you do. You're the president, you serve the people, they don't serve you. So you should have met Joe Rogan where he is, and you should have done the 3-hour interview. Now, the real kicker is she probably wouldn't have survived the 3-hour interview, given that she's not very good at defending her stances in an open forum where the questions can fly in any direction, and that's very much who Joe Rogan is as an interviewer. I can't imagine that would have gone well for her, so maybe it was a net positive to decline the interview. But I think Trump's stance with young people and young men in particular, which was already on the up and up, just soared even more with his appearance on Joe Rogan, with J.D. Vance's appearance on Joe Rogan. He was also on Flagrant with Andrew Scholes. He appeared on, I believe, the Logan Paul podcast. He received a Jake Paul endorsement. These are all great things for young male voters in particular. And we saw in Michigan and Ohio that they showed up for Donald Trump, and they cast their ballots, which the big worry was like, okay, men are clearly trending more conservative. They clearly are more inclined to vote for Donald Trump, but are they going to show up at the polls at all? Women are typically outvoting men and showing up more consistently than they are. And it seems like they made it there. They made it there to cast their vote for Donald Trump. I mean, at this point, how much more push could you get to vote for a presidential candidate? These are interesting times. You're watching somebody who, in Kamala Harris, who could quite literally just make all hell break loose in this nation, not to mention the multiple assassination attempts on Donald Trump. If young men aren't motivated to vote for him, I don't know what candidate I could sell you in the past that would make you want to show up. Ian Carroll tweeted out, tonight we party, tomorrow we go back to scrutinizing our government, and that includes the incoming Trump administration. And I stand by that. I hope it's a party tonight. I'm still a little bit waiting out to see if there's any more updates here. We do have this update. CNN is reporting that a huge batch of tens of thousands of mail-in ballots is expected to drop in Philadelphia at 11:55 p.m. That is exactly 4 minutes away. Now, how long it's going to take them to count those mail-in ballots, I don't know. Their fingers are moving pretty slow these days.
If 100% of them are for Kamala Harris to this time, again, then they got that, late night where the graph shoots vertically.
Yeah.
Not for it. But yeah, I saw this from CBS News exit poll in Michigan. Younger voters 18 to 29 are now narrowly going for Trump right now. This deficit for Harris is in large part due to younger men in Michigan who are more for Trump. And I think that's one of, you were talking about that a minute ago, one of the biggest swings in this election really has been young men who are apparently fed up with being ostracized by this leftist orthodoxy that's been out there. We've talked about that this week, and just the efforts on behalf of the Harris campaign to reach out to them have been so misguided, so out of touch. You're trotting out Tim Walz talking about AOC runs a mean pick six, and they're playing Madden football on a Sunday, even though guys don't play Madden on a Sunday because they're actually watching football on Sunday, not playing video games. And they're doing all these very like strange, out of touch things, or lecturing men, or saying that like the Will Ferrell ad that we reacted to, that video clips on the channel now, where he's like, Gary, we're gonna blame you if you let this happen to our daughters or whatever. It's
weird.
So cringe, and I think it's not surprising that men have not responded well to this stuff. I see you've got something pulled up perhaps to show.
Yes, I do. Let's show
well.
some of their ad campaigning for men. This is from the Harris Walls campaign. This is what they have to say to you guys.
I'm a man.
I'm a man.
And I'm man enough.
I'm man enough to enjoy a barrel-proof bourbon.
Hard candy.
And somebody, this clearly made a joke out of this one. We're going to get that off before I get banned on YouTube for showing his iteration of that ad. I'll read a couple of your super chats really quickly. This one's from Dave Long. He says, great night indeed. Let's hope YouTube doesn't take our stream down for that. And Joish, I don't know how to say your name. Sorry. Holyfield says, Trump 2024. It's spelled Trump, but I'm going to grammatically fix it. I'm going to fix the spelling and say that you meant Trump 2024 on that one. Yeah, it's interesting that like all of the Kamala her intentions, it seems, with reaching out to voters are really skewed, really disingenuous. She speaks to men in a way that in no way, shape, or form, I think, actually goes towards their masculinity or the masculine energy that men have, and that feels disingenuous. With black people, she's sort of pulling accents and inviting Cardi B and Meg Thee Stallion and Glorilla and Beyonce, and that's not exactly working for them. With women, it's just abortion, 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 abortion. Don't you want to be able to have an abortion? Don't you want your daughters to be able to have an abortion? Don't you want your granddaughter's granddaughter to be able to have an abortion? So I mean, and it's worked largely, I guess, in the female camp. Every single woman that I've seen that states they're voting for Kamala Harris, their very first answer when asked why is repro rights. It's abortion. It's I want to be able to have a choice, my body, my choice, and that Donald Trump is going to take our rights away. Even the men that are showing up for Harris, they say, oh, I'm a father and I want that right for my daughter, or I'm a grandfather and I want that right for my grandbaby. In the older demographic, 65 plus, particularly among women, they are also saying that a large reason they're showing up for Kamala Harris is repro rights. So, I mean, it worked in that you held on tight to those very small sections of people, young women, obviously, a much larger proportion of voters, but it didn't land with everybody else. And when pulled on the issues, abortion was actually pulling pretty low for people's top issues. And it's just because, yeah, you're going to get women who feel that way, but other people are worried more about the economy. They're worried more about immigration. They're worried more about the gender issues and the rewriting of Title IX, things like that are happening in society. I think there's far more pressing issues. And it's not to say that abortion isn't one, or it's not something that needs to be had a conversation about. It's just to say, at the end of the day, I think people are buying groceries more often than they're going to Planned Parenthood for an abortion. So, yeah. Yeah,
and we've talked about this a lot, is that the left in general and the Kamala Harris campaign has also leaned into this, of just the identity politics and treating people differently, saying we want to go after this group and that group. And if you look at the Trump campaign, they haven't really, you can't really look at different efforts that they've made as a reach out to particular communities. At least it hasn't been this massive priority, maybe things here and things there, but it's very much here's our common sense solutions. We're not crazy like the other side. We're not paying for transgender surgeries for illegal immigrants. And I think that's one of the most epic ads ever made and most effective ads ever made. Mm-hmm. Every time I hear it come on when I'm watching football, I'm just like, you know what? I laugh just with how crazy it is that is actually something that has been done. And if you just put the common sense at center stage, as Trump has done, it instead of all this identity politics and this grievance-based stuff and banking only on this, like the abortion issue, like you were talking about with those particular demographics, it seems like, it's just it's the party, it's the campaign of normal people. We've talked about the coalition that he's built with bringing in different people like Elon Musk and Tulsi Gabbard and RFK, and it's not this like, oh, you're a hard right person like Joe Rogan, a former Democrat, liberal, Elon Musk, former Democrat, liberal up until this election, he's really just making it about, hey, if you're just tired of being force-fed a narrative, if you're tired of being censored, if you're tired of having to toe the line with all the craziness that you're seeing around you, being gaslit about, oh, well, it's not, the economy's not actually bad. The immigrants aren't actually coming in at the rate that they're coming in. I think the Trump campaign was effective in just appealing to normal people instead of dividing on identity politics. And just before I hand it back over to you, I'm seeing here New York Post reporting Republicans do take back Senate majority with wins in West Virginia and Ohio. So that is official.
Wow. So then it's like, okay, even if she somehow pulls through and they pull some middle of the night mail-in ballot or something, we'll be doing okay. Then we'll at least be able to combat whatever crazy stuff she tries to forge ahead and do in her leadership. Yeah, and I mean, we're talking about these disingenuous Kamala ads. You have the one she did with, what's her name? The actress, is it Julia Roberts or something like that, where they say you're going to hide your vote from your husband. We'll play that really quick. We have this ad from the Harris campaign.
Your turn, honey.
In the one place in America where women still have a right to choose, you can vote any way you want, and no one will ever know.
Did you make the right choice?
Sure did, honey.
Remember, what happens in the booth stays in the booth. Vote Harris Walls.
Oh, just give me a break. Give me a break. Do you think that this is actually happening? Do you think, like, what sort of view do you have of women that they're married to men that they can't be open about their political affiliation with? It's so demeaning to speak to women in this way, as if, oh, I'm so oppressed by my husband on a day-to-day basis, but the one pushback I get is when I go to the ballot box to vote and cancel him out. So ridiculous. It speaks so much to, I guess, the lack of female agency that they believe women have in this country. They believe we're so oppressed. They believe we're living in a Handmaid's Tale, which is not happening, and it's not our reality. So every single ad from her campaign has just been so disingenuous. Meanwhile, this is what you get out of the Trump campaign for an ad.
What will we do with this moment? How will we be remembered? Look at the opportunities before us.
This election really isn't about the left versus the right. It's about we, the people, choosing our government and the choice between freedom versus tyranny.
Nobody has a chronic disease burden like we have. Why are we allowing this to happen to our children? Ultimately, the only thing that will save our country is if we choose to love our kids more than we hate each other.
What is going on here is deeper than politics. It is deeply spiritual. We are being called to rise above the hatred and the fear and the evil.
We need to remember above and beyond that we must love our neighbors, that we must treat other people as we hope to be treated.
You want to be a rebel? You want to be a hippie? You want to stick it to the man? Show up on your college campus and try calling yourself a conservative.
America is going to reach heights that it has never seen before. The future is going to be amazing!
Don't you want healthy children? Don't you want a president that's going to make America healthy again?
I come to you today as a former Democrat. I will be a first-time Trump voter tonight.
The people dreamed this country, and it's the people who are making America great again.
I mean, it's just a brilliant ad. It's just a brilliant ad. Like, what more can you say about it? And it really speaks to so many of the different caricatures that are painted of the American right, that it lacks diversity in this sort of superficial diversity way, which so clearly doesn't if you can take a look at this video. I mean, the diversity of thought is abundant on the right. You heard from so many people who are actually former Democrats in this video who have now altered their stances and come in support of Donald Trump, Nicole Shanahan, Robert F. Kennedy. You have Tulsi Gabbard, Elon Musk, former Democrat himself. So I don't know. It just speaks to the difference between these two candidates, and I think what we'll get out of them in a potential presidency after this election is over. And well, I hope it's over soon.
Yes, indeed. I sent you, apparently Joy Reid went on a giant rant about blaming women, white women in particular, for not showing up. So maybe we can pull that up as you do. There's also, I'm seeing the District of Columbia voted 92.59% in favor of Harris versus Trump. And they're saying, if you're ever in doubt whether the ruling class in DC has lost touch with America, just refer back to that. So that was interesting.
Yeah, we're just watching things just like switch. The reality check that we are getting in the wake of all of this is so it's so tremendous. I love to watch it happen, and I will have these moments on replay. Before we get into this Joy Reid clip, we do have a $50 super chat from Yana, who says, "This is my first super chat ever. First super chat ever. I was originally more left-leaning in high school, then I found your channel and had a conservative awakening. Thank you for the red pill, LOL. Today, I'm a first-time voter and proud to say that I voted red. Trump 2024, guys. Air horn. Love that. Love hearing from you guys. Yeah, I'm so happy that you guys are exercising your civic duty. And you know what I say? It's your civic duty if you are if you're educated and you know where you stand on the issues and you want to make your voice heard. This is one of the ways to do it. And we're truly showing and learning tonight just how impactful it can be when you show up and you vote when the time comes. Now, let's get to this clip from Joy Reid and see what she's got to say.
You know, it's a state that I think Democrats definitely were reaching for. There was a lot of work to try to turn out the college campuses, which were really thick and really packed, and try to turn out the suburbs. And I think there was a lot of hope because of just the insanity, can we say fairly, of the person who's running for governor in that state, and a thought that, you know, defeating him would also carry Harris in. But in the end, you know, if they didn't make their numbers and essentially exceed the numbers that Joe Biden had in the suburbs, and I think we have to be blunt about why. Black voters came through for Kamala Harris. White women voters did not. That is what it appears happened in that state, is that if you can't flip enough white women, and we've talked about this on this set numerous times, is that you have a state where you've got a 6-week abortion or a 12-week abortion. I think theirs might be 12 weeks. Yep. But it's a state where women lost their reproductive rights, where there was a very heavy push to get women to focus on not putting in place, re-electing, putting back into the White House the person who was responsible for taking those rights away and restoring them. But that message obviously was not enough to get enough white women to vote for Vice President Harris, a fellow woman. This will be the second opportunity that white women in this country have to change the way that they interact with the patriarchy. And, you know, God bless Shannon Watts, who has tried to have that conversation. But if people aren't receptive to it, and if people vote more party line or more on race than on gender and on protecting their gender, there's really not much more that you can do but tell people what the risks are and leave it to them to do the right thing.
It's nothing's your fault, Joy Reid. It's everybody else's fault. It's white women for not voting for, as she states, a fellow woman. You know what? What you got going on downstairs does not dictate how I vote, okay? I don't have to vote for you just because you're a woman. And it's interesting that she says, like, women's rights were stripped away. But then she goes on to state it's, what, a 12-week abortion ban, which the vast majority of abortions are happening within the 12-week span anyways. So I'm pretty sure North Carolina women are doing okay. You're gonna be just fine with a 12-week stance on that. So maybe it's that women are realizing that you can't just throw repro rights at them. And I should stress, repro rights that you cannot reinstate. It is now to the states. The states are going to dictate what happens when it comes to abortion and reproductive rights, if that's what we want to call them. Kamala Harris is not going to get into office and wave her magic bullshit wand and bring back Roe v. Wade. It's just not going to happen. So I think the Kamala Harris campaign learned that, first of all, you can't run on a singular issue with women, which is what they've attempted to do here. And if you're going to run with a singular issue when it comes to the female vote, it should be an issue that you can actually do something about. And I think a lot of women learned, even if I feel really strongly about Roe v. Wade, she can't really do much about that. So now I have only the rest of her track record to look at to see what she's going to be as a leader. And that's not promising either, considering we've lived with this woman as vice president for how long now? So that's where we're at. I mean, yeah, I'm happy to hear it. I'm happy to hear it. I'm happy to hear Joy Reid going off on white women. She'll always find a way to make this a problem for white people and say that it is their fault. That is the left's way. Now, here's another clip. It says NBC is now floating the idea that Democrats were not smart to swap out Joe Biden for Kamala Harris.
Jen, has the conversation begun yet about Joe Biden and about the decision to ask him to step aside?
It will begin. It will begin depending on the outcome. Sure. And obviously, there hasn't been a race called yet. If this is not a Harris win, that will certainly be part of the discussion. She's run a campaign over the course of 107 days. That is not something we've seen in history. And there'll be lots of questions about exactly that, the timing and the impact of that.
Well, Chuck was bringing up the history. I mean, in terms of vice presidents trying to win the presidency with a unpopular president, he said it's bordering on politically impossible.
And this gets
oh, politically impossible. They weren't saying that at the outset of all this. It's very interesting that we're now floating the idea: is late stage dementia better than Kamala Harris? And I mean, if you're looking at the numbers, comparison, the 2024 election numbers compared to 2020, Biden is outperforming her in several key states. But we have a whole different Joe Biden right now. I don't know how things would square up. Maybe just with sheer familiarity alone, Biden could pull through if we swapped out Kamala Harris for him. But I don't know. I don't think he'd be able to sit through interviews. Not that she really did, but he certainly wouldn't be able to make it through an hour with Alex Cooper on the Call Her Daddy podcast about abortion. We could try that, though. I would love to watch Joe Biden attempt to do an interview at this moment. And it seems like, Joe Biden maybe feels some type of way about being kicked out, in his opinion, too soon, in our opinion, 4 years too late, because the Bidens are not going to her watch party tonight. They don't seem to be celebrating anything that's happening right now, not that they have much to celebrate. Jill Biden showed up to the polls to vote today in a fully red suit. What that communicates, I don't know, but we women know that we're very particular about the colors we wear and why with what we're trying to communicate to the people who see us. And she put that MAGA red pantsuit on and she strutted out there to place her vote. Now, it doesn't mean anything, I don't know. But I don't think the Bidens and Kamala Harris are in good standing with one another at the moment. But Taylor, what do you think? If Joe Biden was the candidate right now, would we be seeing what we're seeing now?
I don't know, because here's the thing. We've watched him over the last week or so. Every time there's a camera in front of his face, he's, calling half the country garbage. He's just doing things that are totally undermining the Kamala's messaging. He was doing press conferences in the middle of her rallies and major announcements. It's almost like it's literal subterfuge that he's been doing, or he's just so senile that he's got no idea what's going on. And every time they put a camera in front of his face, he just does something damaging just because he's no longer with us, So it's the question of could he be doing better? Maybe if now he's doing those things out of spite or because he's trying to sabotage Kamala's campaign because he's still there and, feels like he should be, maybe then, yeah. But if those things are just happening because he is just totally gone and senile, then could the media still be covering it up? It's just, we've talked about this on the show. I mean, for weeks now, but you have the entire media machine, you have every celebrity, you have big tech. We just had Google apparently not, changing their results, where if you search where to vote for Harris, for Kamala Harris, then it tells you. And if you search where to vote for Trump, it has no answers for you. And they acknowledge that, and they fix that. We have all these institutions stacked up trying to trot out the weekend at Bernie's candidate in Joe Biden, trying to trot out the NPC candidate in Kamala Harris. And it apparently doesn't seem like either one of them has been resonating with the American people. It seems like people are fed up and see through it. And so I don't know that they would be faring much better with a Joe Biden as the candidate. But
yeah, honestly.
You had, which was the lesser of the two evils for the Democrats on their side? I don't know. But it's funny to watch them kind of squirm and question that at this point.
Turns out people truly are ready to turn the page. Kamala Harris was at least right about that. Somebody tweeted out, just in, Democrats shocked to learn that women buy milk and eggs more often than they get abortions. Yeah, and that's true. It's interesting because I've been watching, of course, Pennsylvania. This is what Trump needs to win the whole thing. This is what either candidate needs to win the whole thing. And interestingly enough, I came across a video today of a guy who's doing grassroots organizing for the Republicans. And he said one of the major groups that he wanted to speak to and he thinks was going to flip the election in regard to Pennsylvania was the Amish. Speaking of raw milk and eggs and all of these different things. The Biden-Harris administration, under their leadership, they really came after a lot of the Amish ways of life. And the RFK sort of stance on food and making America healthy again has really resonated with the Amish. They were coming after their ability to drink the raw milk from their cows. That pissed them off. Their organic farming. They were trying to tamp down that. And apparently you don't mess with the Amish community because somebody came over to them and was like, yo, this boy Trump has got your back. His campaign is really speaking to preserving your way of life. And I think like tens of thousands, if not over 100,000 Amish people were like, okay, I'm going to register to vote. And I'm going to actually literally get in a horse and buggy. And I'm gonna head to my polling location, and I'm gonna vote for Trump. And tens of thousands of votes were needed in order to really cement a win in Pennsylvania. And it could just be that our homeboy Amish people have made Trump win Pennsylvania. It very well could be that.
Yeah, I'll be so curious to see once we start getting the data. How they actually voted. And I've been seeing, if you're for my Lord of the Rings fans out there, there's been going viral on X memes about the Amish people being like the Ents in the Two Towers, which is like this race of tree-like creatures that are like peaceful. They're only in the forest. They don't care about anything. But when the world's going crazy, everyone had completely forgot about them. The bad guys had completely forgot about them. And then they come out of nowhere marching and they destroy the bad wizard Saruman's, fortress. And nobody saw it coming. So people are saying that the Amish in Pennsylvania are like the Ents in Lord of the Rings, which of course I just absolutely love. We did get a $100 super chat here from Benjamin Ramirez, who says, as a green card holder, I love this country. One day I'll be privileged enough to become a U.S. citizen and vote for the next Republican president in 28. Thank you both for doing what you do. I hope to soon come out as part of the deplorables.
Hey, I love to hear that. And I hope that does soon happen for you. And I say that with a lot of heart. Not only do I have a lot of family who are immigrants and have made it through the immigration process here in this country, but my boyfriend, my man, was a green card lottery winner and has now become a U.S. citizen and actually voted in his first election yesterday. And we all know who for, okay? So I'm not in a couple that's canceling out each other's votes, okay? We're holding strong in our support of Donald Trump. I mean, we're in California, so how much does it mean? But I'm still gonna show up anyways, and I think
they got him projected to win the popular vote right now too.
Hey,
so I mean,
that's what it means.
That's a moral victory. That's significant because they're always going to lean on that. There's like, oh, we got to abolish the electoral college. We got to pack the Supreme Court. We got to abolish filibuster and all that. But if Trump actually wins the popular vote, like that cuts away that entire argument. It's like, no, literally a majority of the country rejected this nonsense. They're done.
And I mean, it's a good sign. We should get a lot done because that's Congress, that's popular vote, that's electoral college. I mean, there's really no excuse to not move ahead and really forge a new America. And you know what? Like how Ian Carroll says, today we celebrate, tomorrow we scrutinize our government. It's very much true. If we take the upper hand in all this, you better hope things get done. I mean, I'm looking at Title IX. I'm looking at the border. I'm looking at our economy. I'm looking at, gas prices and groceries and everything. I'm looking at our freedoms and freedom of speech, and for that to be expanded, or at least what they've done in these movements against misinformation and hate speech. A lot of that needs to be rolled back, and there needs to be action on day one. But yeah, I have to show you these. Here's those images of the Amish.
Oh yeah.
I love
it.
that.
Amla hasn't seen Lord of the Rings, but
I haven't.
If you guys have, you'll appreciate that reference. It makes my heart happy. I make way too many Lord of the Rings references on this show, but
I know. It's all good. People appreciate it. People appreciate it. I went to Amish country when I was like 13, and now I'm never gonna forget. Now I have to revisit to thank them for what they've done.
Is my only Amish point of reference, to be honest.
Nice. Moe's. Okay.
Let me read a couple more super chats that just came in. This is from Holly Gullitz, who says, I have been watching since you just after the last election in North Dakota and would never have guessed. Sorry, it says ND capitals. But I think that was meant to be and I would never have guessed that you were Democrat prior. I'm happy you have changed positions, and I love watching you guys a lot.
Well, you should be happy. I never got to vote as a Democrat, so there's that. I have that going for me. When I was a Democrat, it was before I was able to vote. But yeah, not only Democrat, I was just like lefty. I don't even know what I would classify that as. Just a radical, just nuts.
How does it feel like sitting where we are now with Trump kind of in the lead, and then thinking back to like crying when he was elected in 2016?
Dude, it's crazy.
Surreal.
If it wasn't such a shared experience amongst like everybody virtually who had that initial experience with Trump in 2016, maybe I would feel weirder about it. But because so many people I experienced the like sort of collective mass hysteria, collective mass psychosis of feeling like he was going to be a dictator in 2016 and then growing out of it by the time we get to this point in our lives. I feel better about it. I can swallow the embarrassment that is. Now, Cenk Uygur, or I don't know how is Cenk Uygur? Is how you say his last name?
Uygur? I don't know.
Cenk is not happy that Trump is pulling into the lead here. Let's watch this clip from him and the Young Turks. Now, he and Anna Kasparian, I feel like y'all are bound. I don't know how they're gonna get through Anna Kasparian's awakening on all this, but let's watch.
Iowa called for Trump, so there goes that nonsense. I'm gonna I'm getting revved up here on a significant rant. So, because Kamala Harris is not winning, and the people who thought that Kamala Harris was going to win in a landslide are totally wrong.
Aw, Cenk, it's gonna be okay, honey. You're gonna survive the next 4 years. You're gonna be fine. That's the thing, though. Like if Kamala Harris wins this election somehow, and I wake up tomorrow and Pennsylvania got 100,000 Kamala votes overnight or something like that, are things gonna be okay? I don't know. At least with all the hysteria that lies on the other end of Trump winning this election, you're actually going to be okay. Like you can freak out and throw a temper tantrum and scream about your rights and how you can't have an abortion anymore or whatever. You're literally going to be fine. So at least they have that going for them, although they just don't realize it yet. So I guess we'll wait and see.
Cenk had some legendary moments in 2016, by the way. If you go on YouTube and look at some of those compilations of people melting down on TV in 2016, he's got some great moments. But it looks like we might be getting some more from Joy Reid as well. I just sent you another clip
I'm
here.
gonna pull this up. Let's see. She's starting to freak out. The marbles are lost. Let's watch.
You just think about just the last 2 weeks and the things that Donald Trump has said into the TV that people could hear him say and do, the vulgarity in front of families with young children and the threats to do mass deportation and a violent start to his dictatorship on day one, and you name it. If all of that gets you half of the votes,
49%.
What does it tell you? I mean, we need to really take a step back and think about what does that say about us?
I think
You just think.
Yeah, this is the clip I was referencing. We responded to this on Megyn Kelly. What does it say about you, Joy Reid, is really what you need to be asking. You're not asking it in the right way. You're not framing the question properly. This election says far more about you than it does about any Trump voter. I don't know what she's talking about as far as vulgarity in front of children. I know what she's referring to as far as mass deportations, which I'm Mama Bonomi and I endorse that message. I mean, we should mass deport people who are in this country and who are literal criminals. They are committing crimes against American citizens. We should deport people who are in this country and who are not contributing to our country. I think we should start there. As far as deportations go, I don't think it needs to go all willy-nilly, just rounding every single individual up. But yeah, we can certainly get a strong start with the two categories that I just mentioned. And then from there, we can do some helpful analysis as to whether or not certain people should remain in this country. And since they've been here, how have they been contributing? What have they been doing? What do we foresee their future in this country being? I think these are perfectly healthy questions to ask. And the thing is, they're so used to demonizing Trump voters, and they thought that was going to win them the election. Now they have nowhere to go. Now that it seemingly looks like they're going to lose the election, you need to learn that the demonization of Trump voters, this itch that you have that you need to scratch to call them white nationalists, white supremacists, Nazis, call them vulgar, say they're racist, xenophobic, sexist. You need to dial that back because it's a large part of the reason why people have shown up for Donald Trump. When you levy these wild, vivid accusations against Trump voters, and then they listen to Donald Trump and they go, oh, I didn't hear anything like what Joy Reid said he was going to say. Or they go to a Trump rally and then suddenly Tulsi Gabbard's there and Elon Musk is there and Vivek Ramaswamy is there, and we're listening to people who were Democrats formerly and now are supporting Trump. They go, oh, he can't really be all that bad if he's changing this many people's minds. Oh, let me look around at the world that I'm experiencing under Kamala Harris and Joe Biden, the people who are shouting out these also baseless claims about Donald Trump. People's common sense is still intact. There's only so much like wool you can pull over their eyes and games you can play with them. And for so long, they've relied on their rhetoric and they've relied on the general allegiance to mainstream media. But now you're losing, baby. Not only is Kamala Harris losing, but you are losing. People aren't even watching you anymore, except to see you freak out over results in this election. After this whole election night ends, people are going back to the Joe Rogans and the Flagrants and the Caller Daddies, and they're going to independent media sources to listen to them, to get their news, to listen to somebody who they actually like, the personality of, and who they trust, most importantly, even though they may not have all the answers, even though they might misspeak, even though they have their own bias. People prefer that. They prefer somebody that they can see like a friend in who doesn't deeply hate them. And that's what they get from Joy Reid. So, baby girl, this is the beginning of the end, I think. This was the campaign of joy for Kamala, including Joy Reid, and it looks like the campaign might be on its way out. Just might be. Now there's some like red wave graphs here. I mean, just take a look, guys. And obviously, like the Trump support was largely, like the winning of this election largely rested in this whole belted area, and he's come through pretty strongly in taking all of those states. We're still waiting. I don't even know when we're going to get the final update from a lot of these places. Pennsylvania said that they could go long into the night, and they just got a batch of, I think, 50,000 ballots as of 12 minutes ago. That was the update. How long it takes you to go through 50,000 shouldn't take that long, considering Florida went through millions in a matter of like 2.5 hours. Should be a pretty quick process, you'd think, but we're waiting.
Yeah, I'm seeing here, Milwaukee County, Wisconsin is apparently reporting its vote totals sometime between 2 and 4 a.m. local time. So that sounds like similar to what we've seen before. I did get this little update. This is from Nicholas Nahimas reporting from Washington. The Harris campaign just shut off the sound on the TVs at her watch party and replaced it with music after a guest on CNN said tonight felt more like 2016 than 2020. The crowd has significantly thinned here and the mood feels seriously downcast.
Yeah, that's gotta be
firsthand reporting from the Harris watch party.
I did see somebody say, like, I went to a watch party, an election party in 2016, and never in my life will I ever make that mistake again after the mood dropped and hearing what happened there. And that's probably the same sentiment for the Kamala Harris watch party right now. And I get it. I don't know if Kamala Harris won this election by the end of the night, and I figured that out. I don't know that I would be like that despondent over it. I don't know if I'm certainly not gonna sit and cry like I did in 2016 over Donald Trump. It would just be like, okay, another day, another thing we have to deal with, and I'll be so curious to see what happens on the other end of a victory from her. But certainly no meltdown, certainly no tears, certainly no freak out, flip the desk, blame white America. It wouldn't be happening.
Yeah, I mean, if you're not emotionally prepared for this one, like, I don't know what to tell you, especially after 2020. If you're a Trump voter, like, you've lived through that disappointment. You lived through going to bed and being like, oh, everything's going great, and then oh my gosh, you wake up the next morning, what the heck happened? That famous graph that shoots up vertically in the middle of the night. They found the batch of ballots, and then all of the questions that we had about the voter ID and the mail-in ballots and the harvesting and all this stuff. And so if you don't have your guard up this time, I've spent a lot of time not a lot of time, but just I think my attitude going into this has been, que sera, sera, what will be, will be. And, you just go in as emotionally prepared as you can for either outcome and kind of see what happens. But so far, what we're seeing is very much all signs point to a Trump victory as of now. It looks like, I just see this tweet I sent you, CNN seems resigned to a Trump victory, saying, quote, at this point, it's a narrow defeat for Harris. Looks like that's Chris Wallace. And they're saying she couldn't outrun the Biden economy. So we're hearing they're blaming white women. They're blaming the economy. They're blaming running Kamala instead of Biden at this point. So they're starting to try to find the scapegoats for why things are going the way that they're going here. But as we've talked about, I don't think it's that complicated. I think it's just people were tired of the gaslighting, tired of the hegemony that this, woke movement has had over media and over all our institutions, and are just kind of like ready to actually turn the page. And that's turning the page does not look like Kamala Harris this time. It looks like Donald Trump.
It's literally common sense. I mean, there's this tweet from Brittany Martinez. This is breaking as of 5 minutes ago. Newsmax calls Michigan for Trump. It's over. I don't know. We'll see. It's funny because Newsmax has been sort of like staying on the margins of things, saying, I don't know if Trump's going to do it. They seemed pretty unmotivated by a lot of the news we were getting out of like New York Times, MSNBC, but now they've called Michigan for Trump. So that's something. And I had to think like, okay, is there a world where we go to sleep and we wake up and there's like a whole new batch of votes are in, or we figure out something? And I don't know that they can actually do it this time with how many things are moving in Republicans' favor here. You have the Senate races, the House stuff. You have seemingly the popular vote going in Trump's direction, plus the Electoral College. That's a lot. And the Trump campaign has been very adamant on keeping on top of these polling locations, watching everything that's happening surrounding votes in this election. I think they have over 100,000 poll watchers that are stationed all over the nation today to watch everything, to report anything suspicious. Michael Whatley actually tweeted out there was a legal victory in Pennsylvania that Center County officials were planning to stop counting ballots throughout the night in violation of state law. They threatened to sue, and that was enough. Officials agreed to continue the count as required. Our attorneys will continue fighting to quickly eliminate issues at the polls as they arise. And that was out of the key place that needs to be won in Pennsylvania. If either of these candidates was going to take home the race tonight, Pennsylvania pretty much had to be in their corner of this. So the fact that they were saying, we're going to stop counting for a little while and we'll get back to it. No. So if you don't have somebody to keep on top of these things and hold people accountable, nothing gets done. And then you do leave the space open for a little bit of trickery, a little bit of mischievousness.
Yeah, I've been seeing, to their credit, Laura Trump has been kind of overseeing the effort to like hold the election officials accountable and the whole process accountable.
Powerhouse.
For the entire campaign. And yeah, she's been on it, man. They have people who are looking for any kinds of discrepancies or anything going on. You had like bomb threats this time around, a gas leak, improperly printed ballots in Cambria County, Pennsylvania, broken voting machines in Luzerne County. But they've been on it, and it does appear that we're getting some results. I'm seeing some reports of large trucks carrying ballots arriving in Philadelphia now. So
Yep.
I mean that's scarring. But at the same time, here's two tweets I'm seeing. This is from a CBS reporter, Shauna Mazzell, who says Kamala Harris will not speak at Howard University tonight. One campaign official tells me large crowds have already begun to leave. And then a tweet below that I'm seeing from Unusual Wales. Breaking, Donald Trump is headed to Palm Beach to address his supporters. That was just 2 minutes ago. So
get out there.
I'm not sure what that means.
Yeah,
but
I can't wait to see his speech. I'd be very curious to see what he says. Here are those large trucks carrying ballots that are arriving in Philadelphia right now. We'll see what that means. Like I said, tens of thousands of ballots apparently there. Here's Harry Sisson. You know him, you dislike him. He's a lover of Joe Biden, Kamala Harris, the left at large. He's the DNC's boy. They love Harry. He says it's really depressing to see how many people voted for the felon, rapist, fraudster who lies constantly. Many Americans failed their fellow Americans tonight. Oh, the copium. It's a hell of a drug. Hell of a drug.
Are you
I'm
seeing
so
this
sorry.
that they're playing Diddy music at Kamala HQ right now?
No,
I don't know if that's.
See that. Is that true? Do we?
I mean, and Wokeness tweeted it. Jack Posobiec tweeted it. So they got a clip. I just sent it to you.
Oh gosh, let's pull it up.
In the back. I didn't recognize the song when I tried to listen to it. But
okay, I probably don't recognize it.
She would need to outperform, really turn things around, and what's coming in is not showing that is likely or possible.
I don't really recognize the song either, so I cannot speak to it. I mean, it very well could be. I'm trying to read some of the comments. What song is that? I can't hear it. Stop. Are they really? Very disturbing. I don't know. Who knows?
It would just be so fitting, though.
It really would be.
Oh my gosh, could you imagine?
It's a Freudian slip. Freudian slip on their part. Here are some clips of people apparently leaving Kamala's party, and there's not a lot of joy.
Such vibes. Brat.
So brat.
Brat summer's over.
When I go to the club, I want to hear the club classics. This is that was a club classic, guys. Yeah, rough time. I mean, I don't know. This might be. We might just call it a night here. I don't know. Should we keep sitting here reacting to stuff? Let's see. Jimmy says nothing could be funnier than Democrats calling Trump racist for 10 years and losing because black men voted for him. Hilarious. Oh,
Ouch.
how the turntables.
How the turntables. Yeah, I don't know. Should we read some super chats?
Yeah, let's read some super chats. And I'll scroll through.
We'll keep an eye on X and see what else is going on.
Yeah.
But okay. Okay, this is funny. Zoriel says, I'm a little off topic, but where did you get your jacket? I'm looking for one similar.
Where did I get my
night
jacket?
shift at a mortuary. I was able to catch you guys live stream. I wish I was able to catch a live stream more. Keep up the good work.
Night shift at the mortuary. You're brave.
Did you know that was the mortuary chic was what you were putting out tonight?
Hey, I'll take it. Any type of chic is what I'll take. I'm trying to figure out where this jacket is actually from. Let me not flash the camera really quick. Amala Epinobi launches OnlyFans. It's from Express, but I got this years ago. This is like my one blazer that I own. So yeah, Express. Hopefully you can find it on there.
Yeah, good luck. Kane, I had to reread that twice. It looks like Kanye, but it's Kane with a K. K-A-Y-N-E. So glad to have caught your live stream for the second time. Much love and support from Australia. Let's go Trump. The world needs him right now. Yeah, and we have a lot of international viewers, and I know you guys are very invested in what's going to happen in this election.
Yeah, it's been crazy to just watch it. And I've seen, a lot of international people making videos and saying, like, vote for Trump. This is going to impact us. We are invested in foreign affairs, and Kamala Harris cannot handle these issues, and it's going to come to burden our society. So shout out to you guys for helping us on our end. We really appreciate it.
Lazi Chops, also from Australia, says, former extreme lefty here, gross. Wish I could vote for Trump, but I'm still eagerly waiting to see the results of the election as it will affect us too. Love the channel, A&T.
Yeah, we're all just waiting, biting our nails, trying to see what happens here. Matt posted this. He's a very popular leftist. We see his tweets and Instagram posts all the time.
Oh, yeah.
Says, no matter what happens, may this election be the death nail in the self-congratulatory, quote, Gen Z will change the world, end quote, shit. Gen Z white men vote like every other generation of white men, and in some cases are further to the right. Oh my gosh, so much blame being thrown around. We've blamed white women. We've blamed minority voters for not showing up, or if they are showing up for Trump. And now we can blame white male Gen Zers.
Just flailing. The rage is setting in. I saw a little clip from Destiny, the streamer, saying, what is happening? Dean is, they're squirming a little bit. We're starting to see the TDS manifest. It should be interesting to watch. We may have, I don't want to speak too soon. We don't want to count our chickens before they hatch, because we could be looking stupid here if enough trucks come in Philadelphia full of votes overnight. But my goodness. Okay, Ava Fuente says, hi, Amla. I just wanted to say that you, Candace Owens, Charlie Kirk, and Brett Cooper had changed the game for me. Thanks for justifying your claims with evidence and educating people. Blessings.
That's what we try to do on this channel. Thank you so much. I'm glad that it has resonated with you in any sort of way. Yeah, it's interesting you bring up Destiny, because he tweeted out like a few hours ago, it's over. I'm calling it. Harris wins. All caps. I was just like, I didn't know if he was being serious at that point, but it seemed like he was being serious. It's still up. So, I mean, we'll see if that's true. I mean, maybe he knows something that we don't know, because he's clearly so very smart. Destiny is so smart. Just ask him.
I mean, I'm seeing a lot of tweets now about Kamala has officially canceled her election night speech. JD Vance is on his way to the election party in Palm Beach. I don't know, guys.
Oh, here's the clip. This one says Destiny's melting down. Let's watch that. Let's see if there's anything interesting. I'm worried already about curse words.
I'm always game for a meltdown.
Yeah. Let's do it.
Slovenia?
Yeah.
I mean, they're still outstanding. Are they not counting them here? What's going on, Vadim? There you go. Why isn't Philadelphia counting votes? Call them up. Call them. Do we have contact? Hello, if you're watching the stream right now and you work in Philadelphia, we'll put you on stream. I'll call you. I want to know what is going on? What the hell is going on right now? Send me pictures. I know you're out there. I know somebody's listening. Slovenia?
Oh, he's having a hard time. I don't know that you'll ever catch me with any sort of like temper while on the internet.
Thinking of like how the Jubilee videos that we react to all the time, and they have like the 25 Democrats versus one Republican, and like Charlie Kirk debated, and then they have the 25 Republicans versus one Democrat, and like the courtesy with which the Republicans show up, and kind of like they're not like, the life doesn't depend on this. I'm not super emotionally invested. I'm just kind of here. Okay, let's have a rational discussion. I feel like we're the flip side of that coin that we saw with like the same way Democrats are just like seething, fighting each other to grab that chair. Same energy with the response to some of these. Like, I don't want to say, oh, we would totally keep our heads and be cool if things weren't going Trump's way tonight. But honestly, like, I'd be like, okay, this is kind of, I knew it was close, right? So maybe going everywhere. I wouldn't be like, white women didn't show up for us, and they're failing us, and black men are the worst. It's like, oh my gosh, dude, everyone needs to take a chill pill.
Right. You're never going to catch me like raising my voice, freaking out over something like this. Like, chill. The world will keep on spinning. Even if something was afoot and somebody pulled some crazy shit to have her win or something, I would still be like, okay, well, we just got to have to tackle this. One foot after the other. Yeah, like we just got to do what we got to do. Why are we screaming? Calm down. Now here's another apparent meltdown. This is from CBS News.
Let's talk about exactly the question that you're asking is one that I've been catching a lot of heat for answering on air, and we've been talking about this in the last week or two. You're talking about the propaganda campaign and the playbook of Trump. This is not new. This is not surprising. This is directly out of Hitler's playbook. This is out of an autocrat playbook. This is a way to, the things that Trump has done masterfully, frankly, is to get the entire, to get a big part of the population to believe that the game is rigged and to sow distrust in public institutions and the free press. That is a tried and true playbook that we have seen time and time before that has resulted in really disastrous things for society. And that is what's working. And so it's actually quite simple. When you tell a big enough lie, over and over and over, people are going to believe it. Even when folks around him, like Rudy Giuliani and others, have literally been found liable for telling those lies that weren't true, the public still believes it. And the whole goal was to erode trust in our public institutions, and it's working. And if anything, that's what fake news. I mean, Donald Trump has done that really well. I can't argue with that, right? And that's it.
Okay, I just want. Please, they're the ones saying that if you tell a lie enough times, it suddenly becomes true. They were hoping and praying that was the case with the amount of lies that they were telling about Donald Trump leading up to this election. It turns out it's pretty much not true. If anything, truth sort of bubbles to the surface, and people can recognize through common sense where their allegiances should lie. And it's certainly not with the mainstream media, no matter how you slice it. Even if Kamala Harris comes out on top in this election and she ends up pulling through in the middle of the night and winning this thing, you guys are the ones telling lies. Consistently, constantly. Every time you fix your mouth, it's to tell a lie to the American people. And yeah, they don't trust you anymore. And partially that's because of Donald Trump. We had a presidential candidate in 2016 who was willing to literally point at the media during a press conference and say, you're lying right now, or you're asking me a stupid question, or you're going to print this story and lie about the things that I'm saying, and here's what's actually going on. So yeah, you can thank him for that. You can thank him that he's actually helped people recognize when the media is lying, which for a long time, y'all were getting away with it. That's how she knows everything about a lie being able to be told enough times to become truth, because they've practiced it. And I gotta say, why do they all have the same haircut? Joy Reid, Rachel Maddow, this lady, every single time I hear somebody calling Trump a fascist, they be looking like that. It's not a bad haircut. I'm just wondering why it's the same haircut.
And it's the glasses too. Mark Cuban got the Rachel Maddow, which got the Rosie O'Donnell glasses, and they're all kind of morphing into the same blob of, angry leftist person.
It does seem that way.
Yelling into the ether here. I just sent you a clip of Stephen Crowder, who got exclusive footage of trucks being, bringing in ballots at the 11th hour in Philadelphia. So this looks a little sketchy. This is making the rounds on X right now.
I'm going to pull that up and see what we see.
Excuse me. Were you an election worker?
Yes.
Are you guys leaving now?
Yes.
Are you guys done counting ballots or?
No.
Oh, so people are still counting. Your shift is over now, then?
Yes.
Okay. Do you know how much longer you think they might be? You know how much ballots?
They're going to put another shift coming in for the overnight.
For overnight?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
All right.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Have a good night.
I mean, I don't know what to make of this. We did hear reports that they were going to be bringing in ballots towards the end of the night. So who knows how many these are or what impact they're going to have. I would truly be so shocked if they try to pull a trick in the middle of the night like they did 4 years ago. I don't know. There's got to be so many people at these polling locations right now who, fancy themselves independent journalists or just regular average American citizens who want to watch what's going on in a key battleground state, the key battleground state, if we're really getting down to things. So I would be just amazed. I mean, that's a whole lot of trucks, though. I mean, like, how many ballots are in that?
Literally.
How does that work? Yeah, that's a lot of trucks. And I don't know how this works. I mean, can we get footage of them opening and pulling out the ballots? Like, what happens after they pull in? We're going to skip ahead a little bit. I mean, there they are. Yeah, I don't know.
And like, are they all going to be for Kamala, really? Like,
Right.
I don't know.
Doubt. Well, if you were smart, you wouldn't make them all for her, would you? I mean, yeah, I don't know, guys. We're going to see. But we have heard reporting about this. They've been transparent about the fact that was going to be happening. So, I don't know. All we can do is wait.
Yeah. Here I'm seeing something from Project Veritas. It's 11 p.m. and boxes of ballots are still arriving to Detroit, Michigan's Bureau of Elections in multiple cars. The cars that have California license plates. Cue the spooky conspiracy theory music. Oh my gosh. But meanwhile, I'm also seeing Jake Tapper just said on CNN, 25% of black men went for Trump in Pennsylvania compared to 2016. It was 10%. So that's a major demographic swing there.
Yeah, he's pulling points in all these different demographics. And it's just, you know, people realize, I can't tell you how many black people I've seen being asked about Donald Trump, and they're saying, you know what, I think he's going to do the best for us. And he just says it like it is. Kamala Harris is so fake. And, you know, like, there is this dynamic of what it means to be, I guess, the first female president. And thank goodness, as a woman, I'm watching this, and if she loses, thank goodness she's not the first female president. Because, like, what a stain on the mark of femininity and womanhood that is who we have to represent the female nature as the first female president of the United States. Thank goodness. When we have the first female president, it has got to be someone else. Please. Just please. And if it's her, I don't know. Oh my gosh. It's not going to be a fun time. But yeah, I'd prefer another woman. But I think you are sort of like, there is a dynamic there of like, if you're going to be the first female president, you do have to be exceptional. And she's not exceptional in any way, shape, or form. She is not intimidating. She is not formidable. In fact, we do not know who Kamala Harris actually is. Every single time she speaks, we either get this extremely scripted version of her, or we get like a random accent that she's made up, or an awkward moment where she tries to get the crowd to chant something that they weren't chanting before. And you know, when she veers off script, it shows incompetence. And more so than that, it shows a lack of personhood. I don't even think she knows who she is as a human being, what she stands for, how she wants to come off. And that identity crisis that she must be experiencing and probably has been experiencing her entire life is recognizable. And maybe it is that the black men are seeing that. And whether you like Donald Trump or not, he's real. He's real. He's not scripted. He's coming to you and he's speaking off the cuff. He's meeting people where they are. He's never really saying the same thing twice. And if anybody has a radar for that, just normal common sense people do. And I think that's why the black male vote is turning in the way it is. And he's upping himself in those points.
Yeah, we keep it real. I'm seeing here, I just sent you a clip of a Harris spokesperson who just dismissed the crowd at Howard University and says Harris won't speak tonight. So maybe that's worth taking a look at. I remember when John Podesta did this for Hillary Clinton in 2016. I have vivid memories of that speech, and they tried to convey optimism, but
it was a sad time indeed.
Not a great look.
It wasn't at all. Let's watch. I don't want to get copyright claimed. Let me just let the music pass a little bit. Okay, he's appearing.
Good evening, Howard. Good evening, HU. I want to say good evening to all of the Harris campaign, the campaign family. Thank you for all that you have done. Thank you for being here. Thank you for believing in the promise of America. We still have votes to count. We still have states that have not been called yet. We will continue overnight to fight to make sure that every vote is counted, that every voice has spoken. So you won't hear from the vice president tonight, but you will hear from her tomorrow. She will be back here tomorrow to address not only the HU family, not only to address her supporters, but to address the nation.
I want somebody to check on this. Did Trump address the crowd in 2020 before dismissing them? I would love to hear whether or not he came out and said something to the crowd that had gathered.
I'm trying to find out.
For him. Yeah, because that's like, to me, no matter who, like if all these people came to show up for you, you mean you're not going to show your face for even a minute to dismiss them and say, you know, hey, we're just going to wait this thing out and go through this process and see where things go. You send out like a surrogate to do that for you?
Gotcha. I'm reading here. This is from Grok. Says, yes, Donald Trump did address the crowd on election night in 2020. He spoke from the East Room of the White House in the early hours of November 4th, 2020. During his address, he claimed that he'd won the election despite the fact that several key states were still counting votes, blah, about mail-in ballot and stuff like that. So I guess he gave an update as he saw it that night, but he did address his supporters.
Okay, well then I guess it's a little bit of a different situation given that I can't really speak to, it's not a direct, juxtaposition with what's happening here. But yeah, okay, interesting.
So thank you. We believe in you. May God bless you. May God keep you. And go HU and go Harris. Thank you all.
A short and to-the-point statement from Cedric Richmond, the Harris campaign co-chair, speaking to what is still a considerable crowd at Howard University in Washington, D.C. You now see them turn as one to start to leave the grounds. They're letting the crowd assembled there for the Harris campaign and for in support of Vice President Harris, letting everybody know that she's not going to be speaking on any subject over the course of this evening. Cedric Richmond saying we still have votes to count. We still have states that have not been called yet. You will not hear from her tonight, but he did say that you will hear from her tomorrow. I think indicating that she may be speaking from Howard tomorrow, both addressing HU, Howard University, but also addressing the nation, in his words.
I guess there you go. I don't know. I just can't fathom that. You have this huge crowd that's there to see you, to watch you, to cheer you on, regardless of where you land in this election. Go out and address them face to face. But she's not used to that. I mean, she doesn't show up for interviews. She dodges those like bullets. I don't know.
They didn't have the teleprompter loaded. There was no way.
It's par for the course. And then it's like, okay, you don't know what she's going to say or what she's going to speak to, and then overnight things change. I don't know. Interesting. If it were me, I'm addressing the crowd. It just speaks to her character, I think. EAC says, let me talk. My kiddo is a killer. I don't know what that means. I don't know. Do you know what that means?
I'm not sure either.
Does anybody else know what that means? It's got 26 likes and it's got 13 responses to it. Yeah, so people are saying, elaborate? Huh? What? I don't know what that means. African Prince says the speechwriters didn't write a losing speech for Kamala yet. You know what? That actually might be true. There were some offhand reports that she was working on a concession speech at some point tonight. Who knows? The source might be trust me, bro, on that. But yeah, no speech from Kamala. I guess she does not know what to say. I mean, if you're Kamala, she doesn't know what to say on a normal day. So she definitely does not know what to say on a day where she's down bad. Okay.
She's going to tell everybody that we're all out to be unburdened by what has been.
Yeah. You exist in the context.
Yeah, I see Georgia has been officially called for Trump. So I'm not sure if there's a path here. Even if Trump doesn't win Pennsylvania, I've seen different signs that he's got a path outside of that, depending on how a lot of these other swing states go. But still looking good. New York Times has him up to, oh my gosh, a 95% chance of victory on the homepage of NewYorkTimes.com. 95% chance of victory.
Dude, are they playing with us?
Donald Trump.
Are they playing with us and they're going to rug pull us in the middle of the night on this?
I mean, I don't like seeing those trucks be pulling into all these places.
Dude, I know.
That's a little sketchy.
This one says here, okay, MSNBC says another 50,000 ballots drops and will be announced in 9 minutes, and that was 57 minutes ago. So what are all the trucks? What are all the trucks? How many ballots are in the goddamn trucks? I don't understand. And this is the thing, like, this is what they want you to feel, to be honest. With what happened in 2020, they want you to feel this anxiety towards how they're handling this election and toward election fraud. Because, to be honest, they would love if another January 6th took place. Now, hopefully we're not going to do that. We're going to handle things with civility, be peaceful, as Donald Trump told the crowd to be on that very day. Another January 6th would just make these people's day. But, you know, people are boarding up their windows and businesses are putting like the plywood over everything. I think that's in the case of a Trump win, not a Kamala win. But we're going to find out, I guess. I don't know when, though. How many days is it going to take?
Yeah, who knows? But it's similarly to the attitude you're conveying on the part of the left, this is a prominent leftist commentator, Aaron Rupar on X, who says if Trump wins, there will be efforts to blame Russian interference or the Harris campaign or Biden, etc. That's all fair, but we need to be clear-eyed that a huge swath of America likes what Trump is selling. Transphobia, mass deportation. That's what he ran on, and here we are. That has over 2 million views right now on X.
Yeah. Well, I mean...
So they're more of the blame game, right?
It's copium, yes, everywhere. I think it's so indicative of just like leftist ideology in general. It's just like something bad happens, who do we blame? Immediately, I need to figure out the demographic of person that I blame for what I'm experiencing right now.
Yeah, and not fathoming the fact that like people just want common sense, and it couldn't be that I'm out of touch with reality and I'm pushing crazy, child gender transitions and funding transgender surgeries for prisoners and tanking the economy and doing all this. And couldn't possibly be any of those things. It's on these people who are transphobic and they're buying what Trump is selling, which is actually the hate and the division. It's like, no, he's just saying, you guys want cheap groceries again? And we're like, yeah, that'd be nice.
Yeah, that'd be nice. We actually would like to make America great again. And we can understand what that sentiment means now after living under a Joe Biden, Kamala Harris presidency and administration. So yes, please make America great again. And all the left is like, what do you mean make America great again? When was America ever great? You want to point to the 60s when black people were oppressed? You want to point before that when women were oppressed? All these different things. Like, even I have answers for all of that. America has always been great and hopefully will always be great so long as we can keep this republic as our founding fathers told us to do. But it was great 4 years prior to whatever it is the hell we're living in now. It was definitely greater than it is right now, and people feel that. Now, here's some more news clips. This one is from NBC. Somebody's trying to figure out why the Latino voters are showing up for Trump. Let's hear this explanation.
That continues to me to be the big story of the night, is the shift among Hispanics. Look, Hispanic voters are swing voters, and I think, what's interesting here is the Republican Party treated them the same way they treated white working class voters. They courted them the same way they treated white working class voters. The Democratic Party has spent a lot of time treating it as an identity group, whether it's Latinx, which sort of fell flat. And so there's been a lot of hand-wringing about this inside Democratic circles, a real split, it was a total misread sort of by the coastal strategists when it comes to how to target working class voters of color. And I think we're starting to see sort of a working class coalition start to drift to the right. Before, Donald Trump had working class whites. Now he's adding working class Hispanics and working class, not necessarily seeing evidence of working class African Americans, but adding working class Hispanics. That becomes a very durable majority.
Well, another way of saying that is the education gap.
Well, it's the same thing.
College educated or non-college educated.
It doesn't matter your ethnicity. It matters your education.
But is it Donald Trump or is it the Republican Party?
Or is it the Democratic Party? Okay, meaning it's the Democrat. It is, first of all, Latino voters in many ways are driven by the same issues. And there's one issue in particular, actually, that Republicans align closer with Latino voters, or Latino voters align more closely with the Conservative Party, and that's school choice. And that has been, and you can't help but wonder, both Florida and Texas have been very aggressive about expanding school choice. Where have Republicans made the greatest gains among Hispanic voters?
Somebody's asking the right questions. Somebody's actually trying to look in the mirror a little bit. That's what I appreciate. And then, the other hosts try to go, well, let's talk about Republicans. Are the Republicans really speaking to these issues? He's like, yes, actually they are. And when we're speaking about issues that pertain to Latino voters, we're calling them Latinx and then telling them they're part of an identity group and that they're people of color and that they're marginalized, and then providing nothing for them on the other end of explaining that they're oppressed. And if you look into the average, Latino household, you're going to find a lot of conservative leanings, at least from a cultural standpoint. These people are pro-school choice, as he said, often anti-abortion and have pro-life stances. They are pro-family and the expansion of the family. And these are all things that play into the Republican mindset. Not only that, they don't like being consistently told that they're oppressed and that they're people of color who are marginalized. They don't like being referred to as Latinx. And they did surveys on this a while back that the phrase Latinx was almost exclusively used by like white liberal individuals, and that people within the Latino community had either never heard the phrase or rejected the phrase outright and didn't want to be referred to in that way. Now, that's a small issue at the end of the day, but it's indicative of a larger mindset that the two political parties have in regard to these voting groups. And, you know, Trump is not walking around talking about people's identity characteristics, but he is talking about what he's doing for the Latino community. And yeah, we have that joke about the Puerto Rican trash or whatever at his Madison Square Garden rally, but consistently he shows up for Latino voters. He shows up for working class Americans. He showed up for Puerto Rico when they were dealing with their hurricanes and they were getting smashed on the island. And as president, he says, I've done more for them than virtually any other sitting president in American history. So I think that's what matters, and that's what's landing with people. And there is the hill to get over of Republicans having this caricature of being racist, white nationalist, xenophobic, whatever, mass deportationists or whatever. But as soon as that hill is climbed over, there's not much you can do as a Democrat to work it back, because you're not doing anything for these identity groups other than saying, that man bad, we include you. That means we're good, even though we'll do nothing for the issues that you bring to us. And on a cultural level, we don't really agree all that much.
And that's what I'm hoping. If we do see a Trump win, I hope that, like, you know, we talk about the temperature, the rhetoric and stuff. And like, I'll give an example. My wife, you know, voted for Hillary 2016, voted for Biden 2020 before she met me. I guess we had met at that point, but she finally, you know, she voted for Trump, and she posted some Instagram stories explaining kind of why she had changed her mind, and gave a very just gracious, like, hey, I still want to be friends with you if we don't think the same. I hope you guys still, you know, will be friends with me, but I understand, you know, if you are angry or upset, but I want to talk and have these conversations, and I just want to be honest. I feel like people don't say what they're actually thinking and doing, and so I was really proud of her for that. But then at the same time, I see some of her left-leaning friends are posting on the same day, if you voted for Trump, go ahead and unfollow me. I don't want to see you again. And I'm just hoping that, like, we can get our friends back, we can get our family members back. We've covered some of these stories where people are, you know, blaming losing their relationships with their father or their marriage, or breaking up with their boyfriend or girlfriend over not voting the same way. And it's like, we've gone too far, man, with this division. We've gone too far with othering and taking this like extreme emotional, moral stance when it comes to politics. And I'm hoping that a Trump victory ushers in, a different era where people are forced to, as we were seeing in some of these news clips, be introspective a little bit and say, maybe I've been the one that has been, you know, bought into the Trump derangement syndrome. Maybe these people aren't these crazy racist, transphobe psychos that want to usher in Hitler. I mean, hopefully when they start getting cheaper groceries and have fewer illegal immigrants, you know, murdering their fellow citizens and doing things like that, like as some sanity is restored to our country and to our cities, they'll might, you know, change their tone and tenor with regard to how they're interacting with their fellow Americans. One can hope. I mean, I'm sure it'll take a while. I'm sure, depending on the level of TDS advancement, whether it's stage 3, 4, maybe some people will be able to come back to earth and not. But man, that's really how I'm feeling, is like, I want my country back. You know, the country that I grew up in. I'm afraid that like future generations won't be able to really know the America that I knew because of this wokeness and a Kamala presidency would represent, you know, continuing to go down in that direction that we've been on for the last, I don't know, decade or so. And I want to move back to just a place of sanity, a place where I know and have the experience of America. And I want that for for Gen Z. I want it for, you know, for children and grandchildren that are coming up now. And anyway, I hope that's, you know, we're actually turning the page and not just saying that we're turning the page as Kamala's been running on.
Yeah, and it's interesting that you say that, because this was actually one of the exit polling questions for voters who are out on Election Day. They were asked whether they think the best of America is behind us or ahead of us. And the polling numbers were really interesting. I think nearly 40% of voters today said that they believe the best of America is in the past, and 60% said the best of America is in the future. Now, if you're the Kamala Harris campaign, you're offering neither of those options. You're not offering a better future, and you refuse to accept that America maybe could have been better in the past because they cannot speak to the Make America Great Again slogan that Trump has. And the Trump campaign speaks to both of those realities. If you think America was better in the past and our sort of golden era is behind us, he's attempting to bring that back. And if you think that our golden era is in the future, well, then I'm the ticket to doing that. Look at all these people that I have who are American innovators that I want to bring forward in my administration to really make America have the strength that it once had, in his opinion, on the world stage. So he sort of wins no matter where you stand on that exit polling question. And Kamala Harris has no ground there whatsoever. And when you talk about people who are willing to excommunicate their Trump, I guess, peers, family members, relationships, their significant others, this tweet went viral, posted by Kaya. This has 6 million views, 266,000 likes on it. Let's read the graphic. If you voted for Trump, I mean this in the most disrespectful way possible. I do not want anything to do with you. Not only did you vote against basic human rights and equality, you decided racism, homophobia, Islamophobia, transphobia, and misogynistic behavior wasn't a deal breaker. These people are a little crazy. You're kind of crazy. You guess what? You lived through 4 years of Donald Trump. You're going to live through 4 more years of him, probably, if he wins this thing, and you're going to survive. You're going to be okay. We're not taking away your human rights, trust. You're going to be just fine. And I think these people are going to age out of, hopefully, this mindset. And when they're old, they're going to look back on how cringe and disrespectful and distasteful they were and think, oh my gosh, I'm so horrified by the things I would have said in the past about my fellow human beings. And this is what people don't want more of. And it's something the left has run on for a very long time. Not what are we going to do for you, but why the other side hates you. And when you get to the other side, or you go to a Trump rally, or you hear him speak in person and you go, oh, he's not doing any of those things and he's not saying any of those things, it really starts to make you shift your idea of where your vote should be placed.
Yeah, and they talk about, decency is on the ballot, civility is on the ballot. And yeah, to be fair, Trump has used crass language. He's not, a paragon of perfect civility and decorum that would be expected of American presidents of years past. But, it's like that's just coming from a place of authenticity and, like it or hate it, it is who he is. But Trump doesn't have this underlying malice, and his supporters don't have this underlying malice and disdain for people who disagree with them politically. And we've reached a point where that is coming, and it is coming from one side in particular. And that's what needs to be removed from our public, consciousness before we can move on and have any kind of unity in the country. And as long as that's the prevailing attitude, as long as that attitude is kind of occupying the levers of power in the government, as long as it's being piped into our social media into the ether through big tech, into Hollywood, as long as that's the prevailing narrative, that if you're friends with a Trump supporter or whatever, if, even Kamala's campaign, again, we keep talking about it, but like her ad where it's like, if you're voting for Trump, it's only because you have this husband oppressing you, and where it's this Handmaid's Tale reality that we're living in. It's like, it's such so much hysteria, and it's like, just chill, guys. We did 4 years of this already. We're gonna do hopefully 4 years, knock on wood, 4 years again.
Exactly.
And we're not the ones gonna be knocking on your doors trying to confiscate your firearms, doing all kinds of crazy stuff. It's like we literally just want to chill. We just want to chill. That's all we wanted.
We just want our normal lives back and to be left alone, and for you to just let us be. Let it be. Let it be. Okay? According to the New York Times, the dial is maxed out for the President Trump with over 95% likelihood that he will win the presidency. It also predicts Donald Trump will win 306 electoral votes in the popular vote by 1.2%.
Where is he?
Is this all going to change overnight, guys? I don't know. I'm feeling pretty good about it now. Maybe I'll just allow myself to feel good in the moment that it exists, okay? And if it is stripped away from me later, I will deal with whatever ends on the other side of that. Now, here's Van Jones of CNN talking about how this is a major loss for immigrants and black women. Let's hear it.
Because I'm thinking about the people who are not a part of anybody's elite. who are hurting tonight. There are African-American women who know a little bit about being talked down to and know a little bit about having their economic dreams crushed, who tried to dream a big dream over the past couple of months. And tonight they're trading in a lot of hope for a lot of hurt.
Ugh.
And they were hoping that maybe this time, one of their own could be seen as worthy.
Which that's questionable. I don't know if y'all are keeping up with Candace and her reporting on the background of Kamala Harris. Questionable. One of our own is questionable at best.
And once again, they were facing rejection. And that hurts. They thought tomorrow morning they're going to walk out with their shoulders back a little bit, maybe able to breathe for the first time.
Hey, tomorrow morning, if this stays on the right track, this is a half black woman who's going to have the shoulders fully back. And I'm going to be breathing freely. I'm going to be breathing freely with what's going on in this country.
And feel like they belong someplace. They did everything that they knew how to do. And it's going to be harder than it should be tomorrow for them to hold their heads up. And they're not the only people who are hurting tonight. If you're a parent of a trans kid, your child's face was used as a springboard to power for somebody. That doesn't feel good. There are going to be people tomorrow. We're going to be handing clothes at the dry cleaners to people who don't have papers. There are going to be people who are going to be cleaning your teeth tomorrow who don't have papers. And they're terrified tonight.
Who's going to be cleaning your toilets, Donald Trump? That's what the vibe that he's giving off right now. And we'll see. You know, like, as somebody who's voted for Donald Trump, I'm like, if you're in this country and you're contributing, and I mean really contributing, you are working hard, you're trying to enjoy the opportunities that America awards you, we can talk about building a process for citizenship for you, but we also need to grapple with the fact that you did enter this country illegally, and there needs to be something to be said about that. And you'll never find somebody who feels more strongly about that than people who came here through the legal processes and moved into this country knowing that it was a tough road ahead to get citizenship, and they did it, and they went through the process as they were meant to. And we can talk about people who went through it as they weren't meant to and who are now contributing and weigh out the odds on that. But I think we're going to start with criminals and people who are doing jack shit. I think we're going to start there.
And so it's easy to blow this off. Oh, look at the elites. They're going to get their comeuppance. It's not the elite that's going to pay the price. It's people who woke up this morning with a dream and are going to bed with a nightmare. And those people didn't deserve to be respected and held and talked to. Those are the people who are going to pay the price for whatever Donald Trump decides to do.
Yeah, but Van, how do we know that those people didn't vote? A large portion of those people aren't part of the people that elected Donald Trump. Well, right? I think that's a good part of the electorate. And the black women, the Democratic Party let those black women down, not Donald Trump.
Exactly. At least we get some sense on the tail end of that. Just please. Van Jones, give me a break. Give me a damn break with that whole speech you just did. Oh, they need to be held and coddled and they need to cry into somebody's shoulders. I'm sorry. We all run the risk of presidential elections not going our way. We don't have to sit and cry about the reality of white men if Kamala Harris wins this presidential election. Trust, for the most part, I'm pretty sure you're going to be okay. And he brings up trans kids, which no such thing. So we can start there. Donald Trump winning this presidential election is saving lives, is saving the lives of children and trans kids in particular. Because what you mean by trans kids is that kids who have been fooled into believing that they are gender dysphoric and that they are born in the wrong body and who are now being abused by a system that is making exorbitant amounts of money off of them and is pushing them down the track of being lifelong medical patients, if not that, losing their lives to suicide and suicidal ideation. So the trans kids are going to be okay. In fact, Trump is their ticket to a refreshed life of accepting themselves and learning to move through the world in the body that they were given, rather than the mutilation that lies on the other end of a Kamala Harris presidency. which we all know that's what she is in support of. So it's not a loss for trans kids. For black women, what exists on the other end of a Trump presidency for you is that we can stop referring to you as black women. You can just be a human being. You can be an American citizen. You can be a woman even, because we'll actually have a definition of what it means to be a woman. You are not functioning at a loss. You are functioning with a victory when it comes to Donald Trump. For you will be treated as something other than some sort of marginalized, oppressed identity group that needs to constantly be pedestalized by people like Van Jones, who say you need a shoulder to cry on because your presidential candidate didn't win. He's so tone deaf. I don't think he's clued in at all to what Americans are actually thinking. And I don't think on the subject of immigration, this is going to be like a shaking, quaky, anxious America where people who don't have papers are running around trying to hide under trucks from ICE. I think it's going to be a slow and steady process of deciphering who deserves to be in this country and who doesn't. And really, America has one of the most liberal immigration systems in the world, in one of the most prosperous, progressive countries in the world. It is part of what makes America great, so long as our immigration law is actually playing out and being exercised and utilized here. But unfortunately, due to Kamala Harris, it wasn't. And that's created the problem. So if you are scared of mass deportations and people being snatched away from their jobs working at the dry cleaner or cleaning people's teeth, I guess were the examples Van Jones wanted to use, maybe you should be upset at Kamala Harris for creating the largest influx of illegal immigration in this country that we've seen in decades, because mass deportations don't lie on the other end of nothing. They lie on the other end of an immigration problem. Had we not had the immigration problem, maybe this would not be a sticking point for the Trump campaign. So when the other guy says, maybe you need to look at Democrats. Maybe Democrats are actually the issue here. Instead of crying and whining that Trump is winning the presidency, ask yourself why he is winning the presidency.
Yeah, it's never a responsibility of, let's look at who opened the border, or let's look at who crossed the border illegally. Maybe they don't have any responsibility. They don't have any agency. It's all about the repercussions, but it's also the repercussions are just sensible ones, and at least that's the only sentiment that's out there. There's not this vitriolic hatred, only except for the criminals, but it's just the restoration of sanity and law and order. And that's literally like Trump used to say, if you don't have the border, you don't have a country. And that's literally all that's being asked. But yeah, the hysteria, we reacted to that video earlier this week of that guy saying if they ask you if you know an LGBTQ person, if Trump wins, you don't know, you've never heard of them, you need to get firearms training, you need to go into a bunker, you need to stock up on food. I'm like, brother, there's this new phrase on Twitter. They say, my brother in Christ, it's going to be all right. No trust. No one is coming after your gay friend. Yep. I just thought this is going around on X right now. This is from Reddit, a post that's going viral on Reddit. I've never been so scared of an election in my whole life. According to AP News, Kamala Harris has 210 electoral votes and Trump 230. Trump's in the lead. What's worse is Republicans are also winning the Senate and the House. My dad keeps saying it's too early to panic, but I don't know what to do if Trump becomes president and there isn't at least one Democrat win in the two other polls. Project 2025 is getting enacted and everyone I know and care about is screwed, from the LGBTQ community to ethnic groups. No one's going to be safe. And my dad says it's not possible to flee the country yet until he or I get enough money and have a job outside the country. I don't want Project 2025. I don't know how to handle this. I'm so scared.
Oof, the drama.
What world are you living in?
You know, what world are you living in?
Who wants to tell her? Who wants to tell her?
Daddy, chill. There's nothing happening. You're going to be fine. Only time will tell these people. And even still, they'll get on the other end of it and deny. They will deny. That's all they have to do. They will still accuse them of racism and stripping them of their rights and this, that, and the third, even if they live through absolutely none of that. Another woman, this is Ali Samarco. She tweeted out, white men without college degrees are going to ruin this country. Oh my gosh. Let's give our false appeal to authority by telling them they don't have degrees. Oh, because I'm a college educated white woman and I want Kamala Harris presidency. Oh, goodness. The copium. It's too real.
I can't. Okay, there we go. Clicking on it.
You're back on.
I was just out of the show Fallout that was out this year, and like, yeah, you go underground in anticipation of this like nuclear disaster or whatever, and come out decades later. I feel like this is the level of delusion that these people are facing, is like feeling like the need to go underground and retreat because Project 2025 is going to be enacted. It's like, it's literally not even in his campaign.
Yep.
He said over and over again, I'm not a part of Project 2025. You guys are going to be okay. Like how much time has to go by under a Trump presidency if we get there, where nothing bad happens to gay people and only criminals and people are being deported before people can kind of like come out like Robin Williams and Jumanji and be like, what year is it? Is reality okay?
They're going to take perfectly reasonable asks, like maybe we don't lop off the healthy breasts of 14-year-old girls, and they're going to say that's your oppression against me.
Yeah.
That is you stripping away the rights of LGBTQ plus people. They're going to get a woman who wants an abortion at 22 weeks and can't get one and say, you're stripping me of my rights to be able to get an abortion. It's like, okay, well, if that's your accusation at this point, I don't know what to tell you. We'll see. I think that's the natural progression of things. Their willingness to take just completely radical asks, and when you say no, say that you're stripping them of their rights, is typically what takes place.
I'm seeing Fox News just call Pennsylvania for Trump, which probably means this thing is over.
That's crazy. So what happened with the trucks? What's with the truck? Yeah, Fox calls Pennsylvania.
I guess the margin's going to be too big for however many ballots those trucks were carrying.
Boom, there it is. Yeah, which was really what they were saying. There was a certain point in the night with Pennsylvania votes and the counting the ballots and counting them in favor of Donald Trump that they said, no matter what happens, she can't really pull back from the lead that he's taken right here. Yeah, that's Charlie Kirk. Fox has called Pennsylvania for Donald Trump. Alex Berenson, Fox calls Pennsylvania. Oh my gosh, as soon as Alaska is official, real Donald Trump is president of the United States.
He's delivering remarks, it looks like. Can we get a feed somewhere?
Yeah, let's go ahead and try to find one.
Maybe if you go to YouTube homepage, I'm sure they've got, I've got Fox News has it. Looks like he's going to be taking the stage here any minute.
Let's see. Okay, we've got it pulled up for when he does come up. Let's see what we're hearing in the feed.
Pennsylvania is called for Donald Trump.
Crazy. What is going on, guys?
Is this happening right now, guys? Is this happening?
Dream big again.
J.D. Vance, Senator J.D. Vance, they are getting ready to hear from Donald Trump again at 2:67.
Look at that crowd.
Not there yet, but looking
they haven't gone home yet.
No. Up all night, baby. This is a party. We're going to read some super chats here. This one is from Wait What? Professional victims are losing their jobs with Trump. Can't play a permanent victim if there's nobody watching. I guess not. The legacy media is going to have a tough time on the other end of all this because people truly... I mean, are they going to run another 2016 where they just disparage Trump in the media every single day? Probably. Not it's going to matter because he can't get another term. This is it.
And he's already said he's not going to run again.
Yeah, this is the end.
Here's a good one. Charlie says, how do you think the Democrats are going to accuse Trump of stealing the election?
Yeah, I guess we'll see, which is what they did in 2016. So we must all be reminded that that's what took place.
Ruthlessly, fiercely, and with more joy than Kamala Harris. And it was so clear that Joe Biden was not going to be able to go the distance. If Joe Biden was still on the ticket tonight, who knows what tonight might have even looked like. That he has been able to accomplish this, it is nothing short of astonishing and amazing. And also I think about Susie Wiles, who's his campaign manager, very quiet, does not like the limelight. Chris LaCivita, who works on it. All of those people who worked so hard and stuck by Trump, no matter what was said about him, they were called every name in the book, including Hitler and Nazis, and they came through. The other thing that's on my mind,
including Hitler and Nazis, and they came through. Live from New York City says first round KO, Trump wins. And it's being called on election night. Guys, this is actually blowing my mind. This is truly a historic moment. Wow.
Although I'll be surprised tomorrow if there's a big line at JFK.
There's Amber Rose in the crowd.
In the country, as I said they were going to. This is the greatest country, and there will be so many opportunities for lots of deal making. I think President Trump will be in the mood, but he also has a huge to-do list. Biden and Harris have left a mess. His closing argument was,
Fox News' homepage says Trump projected to win Pennsylvania, now 3 electoral votes away from winning presidency, and they've still got Michigan, Wisconsin, Minnesota, Nevada, and Arizona outstanding. But if he wins Pennsylvania, that was pretty much over.
Yeah, come on. Come on. I guess we'll leave this feed here and see if anything happens. We'll read some more super chats. Dominic Lopez says, Kamala said 18 to 24-year-olds are stupid. Why should that influence their opinion? Shouldn't they vote based on policy? Well, I think they have. Yeah. And they've realized that not only does she have shit policy, but she also called us stupid. And it's so funny because she's done the whole like, I love Gen Z. Gen Z is so amazing on the other end of this. And then you can just roll the clip of her saying with that, she really dug it in. She wanted them to know that she thinks you're stupid. Taylor, do you have any more super chats on yours? It's not letting me.
Yeah. I got you. Sarah Shin says, first time super chatting from Korea. I still don't understand why this election is even close. People should judge the political party's performance through their votes. I miss old America.
Yeah, I don't know how this was a close race either. I mean, not as close as it was projected to be. Certainly not. And Seltzer's having an interesting night today with that whole Iowa poll she tried to do.
She pulled,
which I don't know. Yeah, for real. I don't know what was going on there. Fascinating that. So yeah.
I've been ignoring everything everyone's been saying about polls for the last week, just because or several weeks, honestly.
Right.
But it's just because people have been like, I'm 100% confident of this. I'm 100% confident of the exact opposite.
Yes.
And like, not worth listening to. But now that we might have the results right before us, I'd be curious to see what everybody was saying and evaluate their credibility.
Right. Now we can go back and comb through 100%. Yeah.
Arun Nasenhaker says businesses are going to have to board up their windows no matter who wins. If Trump wins, the Kamala voters are going to riot. If Kamala wins, I'll free all the criminals and illegals into the country.
Yeah, I was wondering where you're going with that. We got there. Yeah, I mean, I'll be interested to see, is there going to be craziness on the other end of there's so many things that are going to happen if he's president. There's so many day one changes that could take place. A Title IX rewrite we could get on day one. All the January 6 people who are currently in jail, possibly pardoned, including the guy, the Bob's Burgers actor, he was just sentenced to over a year in jail. So maybe we get those individuals out. He claims he's going to go after the people who instituted this whole lawfare witch hunt against him in the first place, which he has a pretty valid case for. I wonder what that looks like. So many things. Fixing the border on day one. I mean, he's already been endorsed by Border Patrol, as we all know. I think they're ready to get moving and get going. They just need the executive action in order to do so. And those were the executive orders that the Biden-Harris administration rolled back, I believe, when they took office on day one. So maybe it's time to just get those 94 executive orders back in and back going and see what we can do there. And you don't need Congress for that, despite Kamala Harris's stance on the issue and that bipartisan bill that she claimed was going to solve things.
Jeffrey Rui says, hey, Amala, first time catching live. Just want to say thank you for being the first person to truly help me switch from the left. Being in a liberal college is crazy right now. Oh, I bet it's even crazy. It's about to get even crazier.
I can only imagine. There's going to be a lot of depressed students walking around tomorrow, probably. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, we're going to have so much to react to.
I mean, they're showing the stage. Is he going to walk out at any moment? I guess we'll check back in and see.
And then you're looking at races now.
I mean, my X feed right now is
popping.
It's none of the official things necessarily, but a lot of the poly markets and the polling things are saying America 2100. It's over. Donald Trump's been elected the 47th president of the United States. So I don't know. I guess we're waiting final word from mainstream outlets, but it's teetering on the edge of it's being completely done.
Oh, it's crazy. I truly woke up this morning. I was like, I have no idea what this day is going to bring me. I was very well set in the idea that, Kamala Harris can very well take this thing away tonight, and we're just going to have to deal with whatever exists on the other end of it. And now it looks like not at all. Not at all. I mean, even with like the election fraud stuff, I was expecting at least a good handful of very suspicious things to pop up and sort of sway me in one way or the other. It's been a very smooth process here, a very smooth counting of the votes so far, a very smooth in the calls for these states. Not even a lot of wishy-washiness on saying, you know, this state is a toss-up, or it's leaning Trump, or it's leaning Kamala. And we've seen that in past elections where sometimes people will preemptively call a state and then end up realizing, oh no, it's going towards the other candidate. None of that tonight. It's been clear, consistent. The lack of suspiciousness is making me suspicious.
Exactly.
It's going too smooth.
That's the weirdest thing, is it's been so straightforward. It's been pretty much one-sided the whole way through. But I think honestly, that's what you need, because this isn't just like it needs to be a resounding repudiation of this, you know, prevailing leftist, you know, hegemony, that elite class that's been pushing down all this nonsense on us for all these years with the DEI and the trans stuff and just the woke stuff. And I think if Trump wins a popular vote, if like you have the same night, didn't have to wait till the next day, nothing. Yeah. I mean, they're not going to have a leg to stand on when saying like, oh, it was this or that. It was like, no, y'all, you know, like I see a lot of people saying, well, it's because she picked Tim Walz and she could have picked Josh Shapiro and that would have given her Pennsylvania. But I'm like, at this rate, I mean, maybe, but like, I think if she's going to lose the popular vote in the United States, like America's rejecting you. That's what this comes down to.
Yeah. And I mean, like, there was an argument to be made that, like, you know, Joe Biden's from Pennsylvania. Maybe you should have, by association, taken in a whole lot of votes there. And it doesn't seem like that is the case. Seems like Trump is pulling through. Petunia One-ish says, shout out to my dad. He's been Trump from day one. Love you, Dad. That is so sweet. Love a good shout out for the pops, for the fathers. The fathers are going to be making a comeback under a Trump administration, I think. They haven't been doing too well with Biden-Harris, but this might be... Are we getting a new golden age? Look at this, people dancing. I don't think he's coming out yet. No, we're just showing a little bit of what's going on.
Showing the joy,
here.
the vibes.
Yeah, I'll go back to Super Source so we can sort of see what's going on here.
I'm seeing Jeremy Boring just said Donald Trump, this is the CEO of Daily Wire, Donald Trump is the 47th president of the United States. Tweeted that 2 minutes ago. Ben Shapiro just tweeted, this is the greatest political story in history. So more Decision Desk says projects Donald Trump wins the U.S. presidential election in Pennsylvania. So it looks like this is pretty official, guys.
Yeah, it does seem that way. I feel like every conservative independent who is for Trump or whatever went into this very cautious this morning, waking up into election day, sort of allowed the eeriness to sort of take over as the news started coming out, as the polls opened. Ben Shapiro, his show this morning was like, I don't know what's going to happen. I don't know. Here's my predictions. Here's what I think could happen, but I don't know what's going to happen. And he stated that he thought that they were under predicting exactly just how crazy the Trump turnout was going to be, and that in other cases that maybe they were trying to over predict so that if they did end up winning and pulling through, they could just say, oh, well, we just sort of over predicted that. So it was just all up in the air. And now here we are. It seems like the MAGA pop has pulled through here. Here if anything's being said.
75% of the people in California wanted it gone, and you can't take a position to be with them?
Not only that, you were part of Prop 47, which changed the law the other way when you were in office.
So not wanting to take a position and not being willing to be criticized is a problem if you want to be a leader at that level.
She had that affliction in 2020. Why didn't her own party say, you're not the right candidate? I mean, run a process.
Well, they did. They ran her out of town right before any votes were cast in 2019.
But the same
and then she's
affliction
out of there.
Hit her here. The same problem she had in 2020 hit her in 2024.
She's the same person.
I mean, it's not all her fault. They put her in a race that she, well, we now know couldn't win.
But Karen, in fairness to Democrats, there's no doubt. I agree with you on unrealized capital gains.
We now know she couldn't win. Yeah, poor Kamala. But not poor Kamala. She knew. She knew what she was getting herself into, and she knew she was unfit. I mean, I've never seen a clear case of imposter syndrome in my life, and rightful imposter syndrome. She should have been feeling every ounce of what she was experiencing in that, and now I'm just glad that America has recognized it too, because there was the question of, okay, I can see it in this person. A lot of people can see it, but is it really going to come through when we get to Election Day? And it has, it seems, even though I don't want to, I feel weird calling it and saying it has happened. He's the president.
Yeah, it doesn't feel real.
It doesn't feel real at all. What the hell? Oh my gosh.
I'm seeing more and more. Yeah. More and more people are coming out saying it's been called.
Oh my gosh. Okay.
Right.
We'll read some more super chats from you guys. Janelle B says, voted red for the first time. Equal rights equals Trump. That's right. Equality equals Trump. Equity equals Kamala. Preble316 says, it will be interesting to see if the Biden administration will be hypocrites about a peaceful transfer of power when returning it to Trump. That would be interesting indeed.
Yeah, I just saw someone tweet that Paula Scanlon tweeted that President VP Harris is going to be the one that has to certify votes, so that will be interesting.
Yep, so that's going to be a tough day for her. She's going to be shaking as she takes the pen to paper.
Muddy River Catfishing says, don't worry, Kamala will always have McDonald's.
Kamala will always have McDonald's, the old alma mater.
She'll have to be trained there because she hasn't worked there before.
At least not according to their records. We lost that one. We lost the Kamala Harris McDonald's record, just like we also lost any existing photographs of her grandmother, Beryl. But I'll leave that to Candace Owens to explain to you guys. The Benny Zone says, hey, big fan. I finally unplugged from the Matrix tonight with my vote for Trump tonight. I am done with the identity circus and the left using fear, gaslighting to get their way. Woohoo! I know Kung Fu. Welcome. Welcome to the camp, guys. Welcome to the club. Appreciate having each and every one of you here. And wow, did the turning out to vote really make a difference today. We did it in the early voting. We did it on Election Day. All right? That's what's up.
Never doubted. Never had a doubt in my mind. 1 second.
Never doubted
Not at all.
you guys. Always knew we were going to make it here. Right, guys?
Guys, can we celebrate now? Are we like,
dude,
can we?
I should have had like a drink. I don't have anything. I don't have anything here to celebrate with.
I feel like I need to wait till all the trucks are pulled up to all the places and the batches of votes.
Oh my gosh, I know.
Like graphs, but
we won, I think.
Wild. Here's one from Miramida. Says, this is my first time expressing my political views publicly. I finally became a U.S. citizen in 2021, having been rejected twice during my 21 years of residency. I'm a rare red educator in California. It sucks, but go Trump. There, I said it.
Hey, love it. I'm glad. Now we can be real about this. You can be open about it. You guys don't have to hide your allegiance to Donald Trump. And it's so interesting that the left makes the claim in their ads and in their posturing towards women that women are somehow hiding their support of Kamala Harris from their husbands. If anything, it is thousands of Americans all across this nation hiding their support for Donald Trump because of the implications that exist with coming out and saying that you support him. You're called a racist, a misogynist, a homophobe, a xenophobe, all these different things. You're never called anything for supporting Kamala Harris. And it's just not a problem that exists. Yet they run with it as if it is. Trump people are the ones who are constantly getting caught up in all these different accusations for having supported him. So glad you can be open about it now.
Here's Kennedy says, I remember crying one day when I was 16 because I was brainwashed to think because my parents supported Trump, they didn't support me. And now I'm here hoping Trump wins.
Yep, there we go. It's the evolution of life, guys. We live, we learn, we grow, and we've all done it in one way or another. So happy to have you.
I really wonder how common that story is, because I feel like you're hearing it a lot, like more than just an average sort of election cycle. Like it's not common for people to just completely change their minds. And yet I feel like we've seen a lot of that on Trump.
I think it's just because of the media, like, onslaught against the man was just so overwhelming and so successful at the time that the only natural reaction now after learning, like, what he truly is to, change the mind. And, of course, at the time you would have had, like, a crazy reaction, psycho, with what they were saying. Like, you truly believe he's Hitler? Like, okay, of course you're going to cry.
Yeah, it's just you can only gaslight so much before the dam breaks and before people's cognitive dissonance just reaches a place where it's like, okay, wait, I think I've been lied to. There's so many people who are like, my moment was the very fine people thing. It was maybe COVID, maybe it was, a lot of things, but just truth wins out. It's like Jeff Bezos said when he, in his op-ed that he wrote for Washington Post explaining why he blocked their endorsement of Donald Trump as president. He said, those who fight against reality lose.
Yeah.
And think that ultimately that's what a lot of the quote unquote red pilling is. Not so much like, oh, I identify with Donald Trump as a person, or identify with, classical conservatism. And it's more just like, I've been lied to and gaslit for so long. And now I see that, team reality is not the team that I had found myself on.
Yeah, definitely. And that realization, it actually makes you feel so much better. There's a world where you're like, oh, I've been lied to and this is absolutely horrible. But on the other end of it, you get a lot of good news. Like, things are not as bad as what I really thought they are. So it's actually a weight lifted in a lot of cases. I'm wondering if, how long are we going to be here before he actually gets to come out and speak?
Are we going to wait and watch him?
I know, we're going to wait for 2 hours. But we might wait and wait till he comes. You might close out, and then if he comes back on, pop up. The fact that the low battery thing on my laptop just showed up, it might be a sign from the universe. But the second I end this stream, he's probably going to come out. We saw John Voight there on screen. Happy to know that he's there. I've actually had the pleasure of meeting John Voight. He's so nice. He's a very, very nice man. I can't speak to any of the other PR surrounding him, but when I met him, he was super nice. So I'm glad to see he's out there, getting to see this Trump win come in. We'll read a couple more of your super chats. Sorry we can't get to all of them today because we've been on hours long now at this moment. We usually get to all of your super chats, but we'll read a few more and then I think we'll close out for the night. There's RFK in the crowd.
Hello.
Astro
Creep Spider says, do you think it's safe to crack my celebratory beer?
You know what? Either way, I think it's safe. Either way, even if he didn't win the presidency and overnight something changes, there was a lot of wins that happened today. A lot of demographic changes, young people showing up for Donald Trump, Latinos showing up for Donald Trump, black people showing up for Donald Trump, men showing up for Donald Trump, the House, the Senate, these are big wins. And yeah, crack your celebratory beer. Have fun. Drink responsibly.
Nayib Bukele, by the way, the president of El Salvador, just tweeted congratulations to the president-elect of the United States of America, Donald Trump.
There you go. So we're getting international
world
recognition.
Leaders congratulating him.
Yeah. Wow.
Let's see. Josie says, I'm sick right now, but if Trump wins, I'll feel better.
I think you've got it. Do you feel better?
Do you? S says, I'm so proud to vote Trump in my first election.
No, that's so great. I love hearing from all the first-time voters who were able to be. This is your first election. That's crazy. It's crazy.
Yeah, you picked an interesting one.
Even I feel like this is crazier than if Obama was your first election. This is crazier, in my opinion. Yeah. Miles, leagues crazier than that. And at the time, that felt monumental.
Yeah, the Trump story saga is very much a saga. People are comparing it to the Star Wars, it's. His first campaign was A New Hope, and then it was The Empire Strikes Back is the second Star Wars movie, and then the last one is The Return of the Jedi, and that's what we're living through now. So he's literally playing out like an epic movie trilogy.
Yeah, and this is the closer. This is the closer, man. There's nothing after this. Wow.
Let's see. Janelle says voted red for first time. Equal rights equals Trump.
Yeah, love that. Janelle.
Let's see. I gotta go further back here.
We got one from Jessica B. I'll just read this real quick.
Yeah,
I was 16 and so ashamed when my parents voted for Trump in 16. And now I've done a 180. I wish they were here to see this election so I could apologize for being such a smart ass. Repair those relationships while you can, people. Oh, that is so sad, but so sweet. And I'm glad that you've come around and, it's growth. Everything is growth, and we're all smart asses to our parents in times that we live to regret immensely. But that's such a sweet, sweet message. Thank you, Jessica.
Wait, what? Says, for professional victims are losing their quote-unquote jobs with Trump. Can't play a permanent victim if there's nobody watching.
Yeah, it's just ridiculous. I think he's going to bring more American jobs. Trust.
Jody says, I love you guys, so calm and down to earth. MAGA.
Hey, we try to be.
Charlie says, how do you think Democrats are going to accuse Trump of stealing this? Oh, we read that one. Sorry.
No worries.
Sarah says, hi, I've discovered you guys earlier this year and I'm so thankful for your informative content.
Appreciate it. We try to inform.
Let's see. Hunter says Destiny's panicking right now. It's hilarious.
Oh, yeah. There we go. Sometimes that happens.
I feel like we'll have plenty of things to react to.
Yeah, I just can't believe.
To.
We'll have plenty of time tomorrow. I just can't believe how brazen he was in saying that Kamala was going to win, which is just wild. Why would you say that? I didn't know. At first, I didn't know if he was being serious, but I guess he was.
Kat says, I'm not even American, just rooting for you guys.
Oh, thank you. That's
Appreciate it.
Sweet. I love that.
Good vibes from around the world.
Yeah.
It's a day for everybody to celebrate, no matter where you are, apparently. Anne says, this is my first live because I work nights in Texas. Go Team Trump.
Yeah, go team.
Caught one of the unconventional times. Yeah, we're usually not live at 12:45 in the morning Central Time. Or
sorry, I didn't even realize it was that late for you, Taylor. Oh my gosh.
Well, I'd have been up anyway watching this. Are you kidding me?
That's fair. Damn. Okay, well, I guess we'll read one more. It's 12:45. I always forget that Taylor lives in a completely different state. Even though I announce it.
I'm sure a bunch of y'all are in Eastern Time, which is an hour later.
I know, when you guys are hanging out with us.
This is huge. This is paradigm shifting for the next 4 years. So we're living through history here. It's worth staying up a little bit.
It's true.
King Dumb says, this is my first live. Glad I was able to see the beginning of Make America Great Again Part 2 with you guys.
I know. We didn't think there'd be a Part 2. I mean, there's so many things working here, like the fraud of the last election, the fact that this is Trump's second term, like this is the last chance, the fact that he said he will not run again if this one didn't go in the way that they had planned for, the lawfare against him, that if he lost this election, he was probably going to prison, essentially. They were going to go after him full force, probably going to go after Elon too, and try to attack the leadership and the buyout of X that he so valiantly went forward with and spent tens of billions of dollars on. So much was at stake here. So much to be lost, so much to be gained. And here we are on the other end of it with Trump winning the whole damn thing. And I mean, like, you couldn't have won it any smoother than this. I mean, there was really not a hiccup to be seen. There was no point where I'm like, oh my gosh, she's really pulling forward and she's really going to pull through here. Didn't happen once. Wow.
Yep. Even New York Times has Pennsylvania 94% very likely Trump at this point.
You know what, guys?
I think it's over.
I think that's where we're at then. I don't think he's going to come on anytime soon, unfortunately. I think this is going to be a lot of just waiting for the final calls here. So this might be something that we react to on tomorrow's stream, little pieces of his victory speech. I'm sure many of you will stay up beyond the stream. I will be staying up beyond the stream. Taylor's probably going to be staying up, having some celebratory drink with his wife. KB,
She's
2
asleep
Max.
already. I'm not coming.
She's asleep. she's Zing out. My first year voting as a 21-year-old and voted Trump. Thank God for discernment. And Ben Barrera says, first live for me. Love your show. Anyways, I'm a streetlights tech foreman in Denver. I'm 5'11" and single. I make $115K a year, ladies. Winky face.
What is this, the Whatever podcast?
Hit up Ben Barrera. Hopefully you can find his handle, ladies. He's 5'11". He works as a foreman, single, and makes $115K a year. In the Trump economy, we're doing good, okay?
Yeah,
Hit your boy Ben up.
Become more valuable already. I'm seeing a lot of people talking about Peanut, by the way. Peanut's going to get his justice.
This is retribution for Peanut. It's retribution for so many. Oh my gosh, the Laken Rileys, the Jocelyn Nungarys, the Mimi Rodriguez's. There's so much here. We're
going to get the Epstein files. Trump said he's going to release. We're going to find some stuff out about that. Yeah.
We're
going to talk about releasing more JFK stuff, UFO stuff. On Joe Rogan, they were talking about that.
Yeah, all those celebrities that endorsed, all those celebrities that endorsed Kamala because of Diddy, you're sweating right now. I bet you're sweating because we're probably going to find.
Just think of all that wasted, like all the hype, all the white dudes for Harris, and trotting out the Katy Perrys and the J-Los and
Live from New York says dance party with Beyonce.
There with the fail. Yeah, Beyonce.
The millions of dollars they shelled out for those endorsements. The blackmail.
And how delicious is it? Like, they thought they were so self-important that, my endorsement means so much. It's going to, of course, if we get all the Avengers together, that'll do it. It's like, nah, we're good, guys.
It
We're
meant
good.
fuck all is what it meant. Thank you, guys. It just shows you where Hollywood stands amongst the American people. It turns out we care far more about like the Border Patrol and Teamsters and truck drivers and foremans and people who are working normal everyday lives. And that's what the Trump campaign really leaned on, because it is what the Trump campaign is. The campaign of celebrity elitism, $1 million endorsements, and Diddy parties lost. Shocker. What did Cat Williams say? This will be the year of exposure. And it indeed was. And indeed was. And we exposed how the American people feel about Kamala Harris, guys.
Brett Baer, Fox News Decision Desk projects Donald Trump will be the 47th president of the United States. And Mark Cuban just tweeted, congrats, real Donald Trump. You won fair and square. Congrats to Elon Musk as well. Hashtag Godspeed.
Yeah, I wonder how much of that like strong, intelligent comment led women in particular out to the polls. It didn't quite work out in your favor, Mark Cuban, but at least he's being a big-ish
good
person.
Sport. A good
he's
sport.
Being a good sport.
Conciliatory tone.
Yeah. Okay, Mark Cuban.
Good start.
Thank you
for
that.
New era.
Guys, I think we're going to close out the show. Thank you so much for watching. So much of what we do on this show has led up to this very moment, and I'm so happy we got to be live to share it with each and every one of you. I told you I'd be damned if we saw Kamala Harris be the 47th president of the United States, be the first female president of the United States, and today we don't have to deal with that reality. Kamala Harris has lost, and rightfully so. Donald Trump has won, and rightfully so. He gets a second term. We end, hopefully, the witch hunt. We end all of the nastiness, the fake news, the lies, the propaganda. We go after the media machine, the swamp, the entire institution that exists, the system that exists to keep you from knowing the truth. It's a win for everybody, but it's not a call to not hold these people accountable. A Trump presidency does not mean we win everything. It means we still have work to do. And it's work that starts on day one. Guys, so good. Exciting.
Keith sent a $50 super chat, said only Amala that matters.
Oh. I'll take it.
Thank you, Keith.
Thank you so much, guys. I've enjoyed spending this time with you. If you liked this stream, like, subscribe, click the notification bell to be notified every single time we're live. And now we'll have more to talk about. And it doesn't have to be all this election droll and on and on and on. We'll have other stories, and hopefully good ones. Maybe we'll have
it's a
more
whole
good
new
news.
World. Call me Aladdin, because I'm jumping on the magic carpet.
Yes, 100% on the MAGA carpet.
MAGA carpet. Hey.
Thank you. Okay, guys, I'm gonna say goodbye now. Let's make America great again, and hope that nothing happens while we're sleeping that changes how happy we feel right now.